Chapter 51, Part 1. Welcome to come again next time. Loki, who has gained a lot, said while waving to Dormammu's fleeing back. Hearing that, the speed of Dormammu's departure accelerated a lot. He has already made up his mind. Unless Loki dies in the future, or his own strength rises to another level, otherwise he will never take half a step closer to Midgard in the future. After Dormammu disappeared with his disciples, Loki and Ancient One did not share their spoils immediately, but came to the ruins of the holy place in the first place. Dormammu is not the only Mephisto coveting the dimension of Midgard. Before the next crisis comes, they must repair the 3 holy places as soon as possible, so that the defensive barrier left by Agamotto can be opened smoothly. Loki originally thought that this process would be very tense. After all, the amount of work to repair the 3 holy places is huge, and the mages of Kamar-Taj suffered heavy casualties in the previous battle. If you want to complete this work in a short time, it will definitely consume huge amounts of energy. But unexpectedly, Ancient One did not summon the mages of Kamar-Taj to help, but directly took out the Eye of Agamotto, and used time magic to reverse the time of the 3 holy places to the time before they were destroyed. I thought you, as the supreme mage, should defend the law of nature instead of disturbing it. In the memory of Loki's previous life, the future Doctor Strange was scolded by Wong and Mordo when he tried time magic for the first time. But Ancient One just shrugged his shoulders and said indifferently, "The extraordinary times definitely require extreme means, and I'm not that kind of old-fashioned person." Think about it too. If Ancient One is an old-fashioned person, how could she steal energy from the dark dimension in order to prolong her life? It is even more impossible to find that the will of the gods and different sources of magic power can cancel each other out, so as to obtain pure magic power and break the boundaries of the magic system. Then what about these magic materials? Isn't it for nothing? If I knew you would do this, I might as well ask Dormammu for some other things as compensation. Loki said with some regret. It doesn't matter. If you don't use it now, it doesn't mean you won't use it in the future. Anyway, the 3 holy places and Kamar-Taj will be repaired every few years, and the magic materials from Dormammu will come in handy at that time, but I have to trouble the teacher to help you take it back. Loki took out a lot of good things from Dormammu, and without the king's treasure skill, it would be really difficult to bring them all back to Kamart. As soon as the 2 came out of the portal, their feet were on the floor of Kamar-Taj, and the mages who came back for treatment earlier swarmed up, asking about the final result of the battle. When they knew that Loki and Ancient One not only successfully drove away Dormammu, but also got compensation from each other, everyone cheered the names of Loki and Ancient One in unison. Among them, many mages also asked Loki with admiring eyes, "Loki mage, we want to ask, how can we become as powerful as you? What are you doing, haha oops?" This question caught Loki by surprise, and he didn't prepare a speech in advance. Do you want to tell these mages that you can do it as long as you hang up? This is obviously impossible, but facing the expectant eyes of his little fans, Loki didn't want to cruelly refuse to answer. So he could only use his wits in a hurry and forcibly preached, "I am a very stubborn person. I never care what others say to me. Let me do it. If you can be like me, then I think this matter. Tie pants are hot." Okay, well said. Although they didn't know what Loki's words conveyed, all the mages felt strongly encouraged and applauded for Loki. Loki was very pleased with this and couldn't help nodding his head. Well, a child can be taught, and a child can be taught. Then, from the king's treasure, he took out the magic book from Dormammu's pit. "Hey, here is part of the magic book that Dormammu compensated you. I have already checked it for you, and it is all white magic. As long as you learn more and read more, and thoroughly understand the content of the book, sooner or later you will be able to become like me just as great." Hearing this, the surrounding mages rushed forward, and in the blink of an eye, they had already divided up the magic books that Loki took out. As for the remaining magic books that recorded black magic, Loki gave them to Ancient One. As for how to deal with it in the future, it is up to Ancient One to make its own judgment. And Loki returned to Jotunheim's palace happily with the thousands of artifacts that Dormammu compensated him. Chapter 52, Part 1. Ig ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the task and obtaining the treasure supplement package of the Skill King's treasure. Vimana, the golden sailboat, the brilliant boat, the throne of the king of the sky, the space machine in Vedic epic, also known as the spirit plane. The solar energy for driving is generated through the solar crystal fueled by Mercury, and high-speed flight can be performed regardless of physical laws. With powerful attack power, equipped with various treasure systems, and even equipped with excellent weapons such as ancient nuclear warheads. Hey, it's the King's Treasure Supplement Pack again. The system will tell you, I have completed so many tasks in 1,000 years. Besides the Treasure Supplement Pack, what other rewards have you given me? No, not a single one. If this continues, I almost have no motivation to complete the task. However, in the face of the host Loki's questioning and threats, the system remained silent and did not respond. It's boring. Unfortunately, in order to complete the task, I gave up the opportunity to build a snowman with Aisha these days. Saying that, Loki also ignored the system and walked towards the bedroom behind the main hall. He was going to meet Aisha and Sif, who were outside these days, and made him think about it day and night. To be honest, Loki never thought that he and Sif would usher in the crystallization of their love. After all, one of them is the Frost Titan of Jotunheim, and the other is the Aesir Protoss of Asgard. Loki always thought that there should be reproductive isolation between them. And after he married Sif, for nearly 1,000 years, there has been no change in Sif's belly, which made Loki more sure of his guess. If it wasn't for the little guy Aisha who broke into his life suddenly 3 years ago, Loki couldn't imagine that he would have a child of his own with Sif one day. After asking Frigga, I found out that for races like them with a long life, it is not an easy task to give birth to a descendant originally. He and Sif had their own children in the early 1000s, which is already very lucky. And even luckier, just 9 months ago, Sif found out she was pregnant again. This also means that she and Loki will welcome their second child. According to the examination of El, the goddess of medicine, Sif's due date is roughly this week. In order not to miss this important day, Loki deliberately rejected Aisha's invitation to build a snowman and went out a few days in advance to complete the task issued by the system. But what is disappointing is that the task reward issued by the system this time is still the treasure supplement package. That Loki has already heard the cocoons in his ears. Loki swears that the next time the system releases a mission, no matter how attractive it describes the mission rewards, Loki will never look at it again. Absolute. With this firm determination, Loki pushed open the door to the apse of the palace and walked in. Then, peal, a snowball hit his face directly, and at the same time, the laughter of a little girl like a silver bell filled the empty apse. Aisha, you're being naughty again, aren't you? Hearing this laughter, Loki immediately guessed who the person who sneaked up him without talking about martial arts just now, and immediately said in a pretended angry tone, and his right hand was hidden behind him, secretly condensing a bigger snowball, ready to take revenge on little Aisha. But the clever little Aisha was not deterred by his stern tone, and saw through the plan of Loki, the god of trickery, at a glance. She lifted her little feet and stepped on the floor lightly. On the original ground, a layer of extremely smooth ice crystals formed in an instant. The ground suddenly became smooth, and Loki, who was about to throw the snowball in his hand, was caught off guard. He lost his balance all of a sudden, and the snowball in his hand fell to the ground without being able to launch it. However, little Aisha couldn't see the embarrassing scene of his old father falling on the ground. Loki, who lost his balance, turned into a cloud of black mist and disappeared from Aisha's sight before he made contact with the ground. Just when Aisha was still amazed by this, a huge snowball fell from the top of her head, instantly turning this delicate porcelain doll into a puffy little snowman. And behind this little snowman, there is also Loki's mean laughter. Ha ha ha. Little Aisha, you want to win me, the god of pranks, mad Ada darn. You're so bad far away. Ugh. Damn it, you stinky dad. It's fine if you don't build a snowman with Aisha, but you still bully Aisha. I'm going to tell my mother. Wait a minute. Hearing this, Loki quickly reached out to stop him, with a dignified expression. Little Aisha, I think we, father and daughter, can discuss this matter again. I brought you a gift when I went out this time. As long as you promise me not to sue, I will give you the gift. How are you? Hearing the word gift, Elsa put her right index finger on her chin and thought for a while. Well, I promise you. Give me the gift. I didn't expect this thing to be useful, and it can be regarded as making the best use of it. Loki thought to himself while wiping the non-existent sweat on his forehead. Then he directly summoned the Vamana he just got from the system from the king's treasure and used it as a gift for little Aisha. Chapter 53, Part 1. Okay, little Aisha, let's play outside with your new gift. I'm going to the back to see how your mother is doing now. Remember, when sitting on a Vamana, don't fly too high, and don't fly too fast. One more thing, don't touch the weapon on Vamana, do you understand? Even if you really want to move, you must go to the wilderness outside the royal capital. Don't worry, Dad. I promise to pay attention to safety. Aisha was talking, and she had already rushed out of the apse in Vamana. Seeing his daughter's mischievous appearance, Loki shook his head helplessly. As for Aisha's safety, he wasn't too worried. As the daughter of his Loki and Sif, Aisha inherited the ability of the two in blood. She was born with the magical power of calling wind and snow, and this magic power is still growing rapidly with her age. Aisha's physical ability is also very strong. Whether it is speed, strength, or endurance, it is far superior to children of the same age as Asgard and Jotunheim. In addition, there is a very magical characteristic in Aisha's magic power. That is, the ice and snow creatures created by her using magic power can give birth to their own personality and consciousness just like real life. This, even today's Loki can't do it. In the bedroom, Sif was leaning halfway on the bed, reading with a book in one hand, and slowly stroking her pregnant belly with the other hand. with a happy smile on her face. Sif, I'm back. Hearing Loki's voice in the room, Sif glanced up towards the door. After making sure that he heard correctly and that Loki really appeared in front of his eyes, he immediately dropped the book in his hand and rushed into Loki's arms. Slow down. Slow down. You are a pregnant woman who is about to give birth. Why are you still rushing like you are charging on the battlefield? Although Loki scolded his wife with his mouth, his hands were not slow. Loki hugged Sif gently, and then turned around gracefully with her, taking off the force of Sif's charge. I'm not by your side to take care of you these few days. How is your body? Loki hugged Sif in his arms, and asked gently in his ear. Don't worry, Elle comes over every day to help me check my body. My baby and I are both healthy. It's good that they are all healthy. I have already arranged the official duties for the next period of time, and the ministers in Jotunheim will take care of them for me. So from today onwards, I can spend time with you and Aisha. Well, I don't know if the baby in my womb will be a boy or a girl this time. Loki, have you figured out what the baby's name will be when it's born? It's not that you said that if you know the gender of the child in advance, there will be no surprises, so you won't let Elle tell you. I have racked my brains to name the child now, and finally came up with 2 good names. What's the name? Tell me quickly, Sif asked coquettishly while holding Loki's arm, shaking it constantly. Anna if it's a girl, Gray if it's a boy. What do you think? Sif was thinking, and at the same time put the palm of Loki on her stomach. Then I hope this child is a girl, and the name Anna is better. Well, just so it's decided. Your name is Anna, but it must be a girl. At the moment, neither Loki nor Sif thought that these words would actually come true. In the early morning 3 days later, with the dew and sun, Sif gave birth to a girl smoothly. And the girl's name will be called Anna from now on. Since the birth of Anna, the lives of Loki and Sif have become more lively. Loki also completely put aside the affairs of the kingdom and became a full-time baby daddy. For this reason, Odin, the grandfather, criticized him a lot. As a result, when he turned around, Odin himself left the matter of Asgard every now and then, and came to Jotunheim with Frigg to look after his 2 granddaughters. And every time he came over, the old guy Odin would keep complaining in Loki's ear, saying that Thor was more than 1,000 years old, but he was still as impulsive and arrogant as when he was in his 20s. If Thor had been half as mature as Loki, he would have retired and enjoyed family life long ago. Speaking of this matter, in fact Loki also has a certain responsibility. After all, he clearly promised that Odin would help Thor become a qualified heir to the throne. But later Loki became the king of Jotunheim, and he was busy every day with rectifying this ruined country. He had less and less time to go back to Asgard, and naturally he paid less and less attention to Thor. There is a saying that the country is easy to change, but the nature is hard to change. Without Loki's targeted love spur, Thor quickly changed back to his previous rampant appearance. Even because Loki became the king first, and later welcomed by Fume, went to the pinnacle of life, and became a winner in life, which made Thor more and more anxious, wanting to catch up with the gap between the two as soon as possible, so gradually become more impulsive and irritable. Odin saw Thor's series of performances and was anxious in his heart. But no matter how much he reprimanded Thor, Thor's performance didn't get any better. Ask for flowers. Hearing that every time Odin came to see Elsa and Anna, he would whisper about Thor in his ears, Loki knew that he was here to collect debts. There is no way what I promised back then. I definitely have to do what I said. And since he became a father, he is more able to understand Odin's feelings as a father. At the same time, he secretly alerted himself in his heart, but he must not let Aisha and Anna become like Thor in the future. An idea that had never been thought of before also began to breed in Loki's mind. How about it, father? You see, Elsa and Anna are still young, and it is time for their father to accompany and take care of them. You don't want your granddaughter to grow up to be like Thor, right? When they grow up a little bit and the 3 views are basically finalized, I will help you put Thor back in order. 0.0. I've already thought about the plan. It's called Asgard Collapse Plan. I'm sure to leave a deep lesson for Thor by then. What do you think? Odin nodded with a successful smile on his face. Then it's a deal. You boy can't break your promise this time. Okay. Since everything is settled, you should get out quickly. Don't be in the excuse me and Frigga to play with little Anna. Loki's mind was suddenly full of black lines. You are always killing a donkey. But Loki can't do anything about it. Maybe this is the 2nd generation in Legendary, so he can only leave obediently, leaving the space alone with Anna to Odin and Frigga. In the back garden, Elsa is sliding on a slide made entirely of ice crystals, while Sif is sitting on the sidelines and looking at her with a smile on her face. Don't look at how gentle Sif's smile is now. When she knew that Loki had given Vimana to Aisha as a gift, she scolded them severely. Then, the gift that Aisha had just received was confiscated by Sif. Loki came to sit next to Sif, and looked at Aisha who was having fun with her. Looking at the innocent smile on Aisha's face, after a while, Loki finally made up his mind and said to Sif, during the conversation with the father just now, I suddenly had an idea in my heart. What idea? Sif turned to look at him curiously and asked. You said, what if we take Aisha and Anna and move to Midgard together to live for a while? Chapter 54, Part 1. To be honest, even though Loki was an Earthling in his previous life, he never thought of returning to live on Earth after his rebirth. On the one hand, it was because the civilization and technology on the Earth were still too backward at that time, and the living conditions were very difficult. On the other hand, it is because Loki originally is too powerful, and a little carelessness may cause a disaster that the common people cannot bear. Back in Midgard, because of his magic power, the countries around the Himalayas suddenly entered the Little Ice Age. Therefore, since Loki was reborn, except for the short 6 months of studying and living in Kamartaj, the rest of the time was basically spent in Asgard and Jotunheim. But after Aisha and Anna were born, especially after talking about Thor with Odin just now, Loki suddenly had the idea of moving to Midgard. Now Midgard is in a prosperous era of rapid development of social economy, culture, and technology after World War II. In some developed countries, people's way of life is actually almost the same as the era before Loki traveled. Household appliances such as televisions, refrigerators, air conditioners, and washing machines have all been integrated into people's daily lives. Only in terms of entertainment methods, limited by the current level of technology, there is still a certain gap with the situation in Loki's memory. But in any case, modern life on Earth is sure to make life comfortable in Jotunheim. Even though Jotunheim has developed for so many years under the leadership of Loki, the original natural conditions of this land determine that it cannot become a paradise in the traditional sense. That is to say, these races born in Jotunheim have extraordinary abilities and can endure such difficult environmental conditions. But from their support for the king Loki, it can be seen that being able to bear it does not mean not wanting a better life. Loki definitely also wants his daughter to have a more comfortable life. But the reason why he chose to move to Midgard instead of moving back to Asgard was mainly because of the education of his 2 children. The illusion of Ming's mother moving 3 times shows that the environment is an important part of a child's growth and life. A good environment can promote the healthy growth of children, while a bad environment may make children learn to be bad. Even though Odin is already very strict with Thor, but as the eldest prince of Asgard, when Thor saw other people since he was young, there was no one who didn't treat him with respect, for fear that what he said would make Thor unhappy. In such an environment, if it weren't for Loki's mature soul from time travel. Moreover, he has also received the edification and education of the 24-character mantra of prosperity, democracy, civilization, harmony, freedom, equality, justice, rule of law, patriotism, dedication, integrity, and friendliness. I am afraid that he will become like Thor, impulsive and selfish. Elsa and Anna are Odin's granddaughters, Asgard's little princesses, plus Odin and Frigg's doting on their intergenerational relatives. Loki couldn't even imagine what kind of people they would grow into in the future if they were sent back to Asgard to live. There is a high probability that it will become an arrogant existence like the Tianlong people. So Loki still hopes that Elsa and Anna can learn and grow up in Midgard like the 2 little girls in common. Instead of being the princesses of Jotunheim and Asgard, living in the delicate protective shield created by the people around them. But what Loki didn't expect was that Sif agreed without any hesitation to his whimsical idea. Don't you need to think about it again? After all, it's a major issue related to our family's future life. Loki asked. Sif shook his head, turned his gaze from Aisha to Loki, looked into his eyes and said seriously, as long as you make the decision, I will always stand behind you and firmly support you. Loki was so moved by this sentence that he didn't know what to say. The love went deep, and finally thousands of words converged into Sif's name and the affectionate embrace between the 2. If it weren't for the fact that little Aisha was still playing next to him, Loki would have wanted to have a verbal fight with Sif. But little Aisha on the side doesn't have the consciousness of being a small light bulb at all. Seeing my parents hugging each other, they shouted, Elsa wants it too. Aisha wants it too. While using magic to create a U-shaped ice crystal slide. Sliding from one end of the slide to the other, Elsa was thrown into the air and landed right between the arms of Loki and Nozomi. Looking at Aisha in his arms, Loki could only let go of Sif's hand, squeezed Aisha's 2 round faces and gritted his teeth. You little troublemaker, you want to piss me off, Daddy, and then inherit my name as the god of mischief? Humph, Dad, you are bullying me again. Look at my strength, Shueduin, Helix Wan, Piaji. The snowball in Aisha's hand once again hit Loki's face with precision. And then, the warm and happy scene of the family suddenly turned into Loki and Aisha using magic to fight in the garden. Sif looked at the childish father and daughter and shook his head helplessly. 1 big child, 2 small children. Who would have thought that I am the only adult in this family? Jotunheim's government affairs are now basically handed over by Loki to his ministers. After moving to Midgard, you only need to go back to 2.6 through the portal every day and spend a little time for approval. The things you need to bring when you move are directly put into the treasure of the king, there is no need to tidy up at all. Now for Loki, the final problem is that the family doesn't have a place to stay in Midgard yet. Fortunately, Loki still has some connections in Midgard. Loki found Ancient One directly, and after explaining the situation, the other party directly lent Loki the house at number 177A, Bleecker Street, Manhattan, New York. That's right, it is New York Holy Place, one of the 3 holy places. Loki voted for Kamartaj's house, and Kamartaj voted for Loki and Sif, 2 powerful holy place guards, which is a win-win situation. Chapter 55, Part 1. Sif, how was your day? Number 177A, Bleecker Street. Loki, who came back from off work in Jotunheim, walked out of the portal, and while using magic to change his clothes into the clothes of the earth, he asked Sif, who was busy in the kitchen, how she was doing today. It has been a month since the two moved to New York. After this period of adaptation, they got used to Sif, who was fighting on the battlefield, and gradually got used to the peaceful rhythm of life on Earth. Loki and Aisha, the father and daughter, adapted quickly. Loki is because he lived a similar life before time travel, while Aisha is completely because of the child's heartlessness. As for Anna, the little guy is still drinking in his mother's arms, so he doesn't remember anything yet. It doesn't matter where she lives. In the kitchen, Sif is proficiently handling various ingredients from the earth. After thousands of years of training, Sif finally turned from the dark to the bright, and switched from the dark cooking world to the light cooking world. Even unfamiliar earth ingredients can be easily cooked after simple learning. Hearing Loki asking about her situation today, Sif continued to move neatly while excitedly sharing today's experience with Loki. 27 When I was taking Elsa and Anna for a walk in the park today, I met a lady named Maria. Maria is a mother like me, and her child is also just born. But Maria's child is a boy, and our Anna is a girl. It just so happened that she took the child out for a walk today, and we chatted in the park. Sif gushed to Loki about her experience today, while Loki stood quietly aside as her loyal listener. By the way, Loki, before we parted, Maria invited our family to visit their house on Sunday, and I promised her. You have to come back from Jotunheim early, don't forget. I remember, I will come back early that day. Aisha. Wow. Just when Loki was halfway through speaking, he heard Anna's crying from upstairs. I guess he just woke up, and he didn't see you around. Keep busy, I'll go up and see Anna. 11 But as soon as Loki came upstairs, little Anna's crying stopped. Going to the front of Anna's room and opening the door, Loki saw a red cloak teasing Anna with its collar, making little Anna giggle. The reason why Loki and Sif dared to put Anna upstairs to sleep alone was not because of their feelings. It's because a free nanny delivered to their door on the first day they moved in. This free babysitter is exactly the levitation cloak stored in the New York Holy Place, which is the red cloak that is currently coaxing Anna. I don't know the reason, but after the death of the previous owner, the levitating cloak had been quietly hanging in the cabinet of the Holy Place in New York. After meeting Anna for the first time, he fell in love with her at first sight. Since then, the levitating cloak has become Anna's exclusive nanny, pram, and crib, accompanying her every day. And Loki and Sif, after confirming that the levitation cloak is indeed taking care of Anna meticulously, they feel relieved to hand over little Anna to take care of it. After all, for adults, when a child is a few months old, he is the cutest only when he is asleep, and he is a lively trask at other times. Although Anna had stopped crying, Loki took her out of the cloak and examined her. After making sure that Anna was neither hungry nor dirty, he carried her downstairs. Little Anna was taken away by Loki, and the levitating cloak naturally followed them downstairs. Sif, where is little Elsa going crazy again? I didn't see her upstairs. When he came to the dining room, Loki put little Anna back in the levitating cloak. The levitating cloak also took Anna carefully and folded himself directly into a cradle. Hui Chun is beside the dining table. Little Elsa, after she and I came back from the park, she went to Kamartaj to play with Ancient One Mage again. Loki nodded. Little girl, this is getting more and more difficult to manage. It's time for dinner. I'll go to Ancient One and bring her back. After speaking, Loki flew directly to Thor and disappeared into the restaurant. Little Elsa wears a necklace that Loki gave her on her second birthday. And on this necklace, Loki left Thor's magic mark. However, Loki did not use the flying Thor to appear directly beside Aisha, but teleported to the holy place of the Supreme Mage. After all, children also need privacy. If it is not a critical moment, Loki usually will not directly use the flying Thor mark on Aisha's necklace. As soon as Loki appeared in the holy place, he saw that Elsa was learning the magic with Gu, with an excited face, and from the conspicuous magic shield in her hand, it can be known that Elsa has successfully used Jagora. The Ring of Dole is magic. Seeing this scene, Loki couldn't help showing his vigilance towards Ancient One in his eyes. He knew very well that since the last time he brought his whole family to Kamartaj and introduced them to Ancient One has been eyeing little Aisha's innate magic ability. I have always wanted to train little Aisha to be the heir to the next Supreme Mage. For this reason, Ancient One also found him to discuss this matter together, but Loki definitely rejected Ancient One's request without any hesitation. In Loki's vision, his daughter is going to become the Snow Queen of Jotunheim. How could you let Ancient One be abducted to Kamartaj to become the supreme mage? But the enemy's methods are too treacherous. Because among the 3 holy places, there are 3 magic doors connected with Kamartaj and the other 2 holy places. So for little Aisha, who took the initiative to come to Kamartaj to play this matter 637, Loki is basically hard to guard against. In addition, Ancient One will show up from time to time and perform some tricks in front of little Elsa. As a result, Gushur simply captured little Elsa's heart. But Loki is very confident. He is confident that he can make little Elsa change her mind again. He can also use the magic that Ancient One can use, and Ancient One can't get out all kinds of treasures he has collected in the king's treasure. Thinking of this, Loki snorted disdainfully at Ancient One, then immediately put on a smile on his face and shouted in a gentle tone, "Little Aisha, your mother is calling you home for dinner. Let's go. Say goodbye to your Ancient One grandma." At the same time that Loki finished speaking, a murderous intent flashed across the holy place. Loki looked at Ancient One, with a "what can you do to me" expression on his face, which made Ancient One, who hadn't lost his temper for hundreds of years, couldn't help bursting out a H character on his bald head. It's just that in front of little Aisha, it's not easy for Gu-E to attack Lu-Ji directly. Fortunately, Sif usually educates little Aisha very well. Little Aisha waved to Ancient One and said, "I'll see you tomorrow, Ancient One mage." Ancient One also waved goodbye to little Elsa with a gentle smile. Knowing that little Elsa turned around, he immediately changed his face, stared fiercely at Loki, and mouthed silently, "Let's go look." Chapter 56. Shouldn't the surname be Stark? Part 1. In fact, Loki is still a little vain about the fact that Ancient One took a fancy to his daughter's ability. After all, little Aisha's ability is recognized by others. Isn't that also a disguised compliment to his father? Back to New York with little Elsa, Sif's dinner happened to be ready, and the family sat around the dining table, enjoying the food of the earth happily. Definitely Anna also had her exclusive dinner. Sif prepared a bottle of milk for her, and the levitating cloak was holding the bottle to feed her. At this time, Loki began to discuss with Sif whether it is time to recruit a kindergarten for Aisha. After all, it's not a problem to make her play so crazy every day. If she can go to kindergarten, not only can she meet new friends, but it can also reduce the chances of Ancient One getting in touch with her, which can be said to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. But Sif is a little worried about whether Aisha can adapt to life in kindergarten. After all, no matter how similar Aisha looks to the common little girl in Midgard, she is still not immortal. It would definitely be a very bad thing if Aisha used her strength and ability when conflicting with other children in the kindergarten. I think we should trust little Aisha, believe that she is a kind girl, and believe that she will not abuse her ability in such a trivial matter. Loki said this to Sif, and then turned his head to look at Sif. "Sif, now Mom and Dad want to make an agreement with you. From now on, besides in this house, and in Kamartaj, and other places or other in front of people, you can't even use your magic power. Can you do it? If you can abide by this agreement, I will ask my mother to return the confiscated Vimana to you. But you can't use it in front of other people either." Little Aisha must have seen the word Vimana, and her eyes lit up immediately. She stood up from the chair and asked excitedly, "Dad, is what you said true? Then let's pull the hook, and Aisha promises to abide by the agreement between us." "Well, Daddy believes in you." Loki smiled and stroked Elsa's little head, then winked at Sif. "Humph." Sif snorted coldly and rolled his eyes at him. But she is like Loki said, she chooses to believe that her daughter can keep the promise between them. "I put the things in the curry of the palace. You 2 go back and get them after dinner." "Yeah." X2 Loki held out his big hand and gave Elsa's small hand a high five. "Okay, you 2 hurry up and sit down for me to eat. When I visit Maria's house on the weekend, I will ask her about the kindergarten." Seeing the smug look of the father and daughter, Sif's aura exploded, and he immediately suppressed the 2 of them. "By the way, I've heard so many things about Mrs. Maria from you today, but I still don't know what her husband's name is. It would be rude to come to someone's house without even knowing their name on weekends." "Huh? Didn't I mention it to you just now? Maybe I ignored it subconsciously. When I chatted with Maria today, she told me that her husband's name is Howard, the founder of a technology company, and her son's name is what Mr. Howard said it's called Gooding. But I can't remember the last names of their family." Sif frowned, trying to recall the conversation with Maria in the park today. The rumor of being pregnant and stupid for 3 years seems to have come true for her. Since the birth of Aisha and Anna, Sif often has forgetfulness. But before Sif recalled the information she wanted, Loki on the other side asked directly, "Mrs. Maria's family, shouldn't the surname be Stark? The technology company her husband founded is called Stark Industries?" Hearing this, Sif squeezed a fist with his right hand and hit the palm of his left hand with a bright expression on his face. "That's right, it's Stark. Is the company founded by Mr. Howard so famous?" Even you know its name? Loki nodded, but there was surprise in his eyes. It is indeed quite famous, and not only is this company famous, but the person who founded this company is also famous. The person who inherits this company will be even more famous. That's it. So what kind of gift should we bring when we come to visit on weekends? Loki, how about I give Durandal as a meeting gift? Although this sword is not very powerful, it is well crafted. Still beautiful. Hearing Loki say that the Stark family is quite famous, Sif starts making plans for a visit that day. Although others don't know their identities, but as the royal family of Jotunheim, they can't lose their manners when they are guests. But Sif's brain circuit, what should Loki say about her? As expected of the strongest female warrior in Asgard, the first thing I thought of as a greeting gift was to give a sword. And although Durandal's sword is indeed a piece of trash for powerhouses like Sif and Loki, this sword is also qualified to enter the king's treasure, and has obtained the holy artifact in the mythical legendary treasures of the name. Is it really good to just give it away so simply? You know, even the shield that Howard used vibranium to forge for the captain of the United States was destroyed in the face of the absolute power of Thanos. However, Durandal, as the Eternal Sword, has the characteristics of being sharp and indestructible. I don't know how Howard, a scientist, will face this fact that cannot be explained by science after he discovers Durandal's indestructible properties. If you think it's okay, Qianli's, then take it as a meeting gift. Anyway, I have already given it to you, no matter how you decide. I have no problem after confirming that Loki has no objection. Sif made a decision directly. Well, the matter is decided like this. It just so happened that Durandal was placed in the curry where Vamana was placed. Later, when you and Aisha go back to get Vamana, help me bring Durandal back with me, by the way. I'll go to the store tomorrow to see if I can buy some beautiful boxes and wrapping paper. I'm sure Maria and the others will like this gift I carefully prepared. Don't you think so, Loki? Seeing Sif looking at him, Loki instantly turned into a boy with a smirk, nodded vigorously and said, "Ah, that's right. You're right." Chapter 57, Part 1. The weekend came quickly, and on Saturday, Maria called one day in advance with great enthusiasm and asked if Sif needed to send a car to pick them up. But the result was naturally rejected by Sif. Number 177A, Bleecker Street is protected by Kamar Taj's magic, and ordinary people can't find its location. Originally, Loki wanted to open a portal and go there directly, but after thinking about it carefully, since he decided to live on the Earth for a period of time in the future, he should try to minimize the use of his special ability. This can also be regarded as setting an example, and setting an example for little Aisha. After Loki and Sif settled in New York, they neither bought a car nor took a local driver's license test. So on Sunday afternoon, they finally chose to take a taxi to the villa where Maria's family lived. Maria's villa and Loki's holy place in New York, where they live now, are both in Manhattan, not very far away, and a taxi quickly took them to their destination. When they got off the car, the enthusiastic Mrs. Maria was already waiting for them in front of the villa. Seeing Sif, Mrs. Maria immediately stepped forward and gave her a warm hug, and she even greeted little Aisha and little Anna politely. After Loki settled the bill with the taxi driver, Maria came to Loki with a smile and said, "You are Sif's husband, Mr. Loki. You are as handsome as Sif described." Loki responded in a very gentlemanly way, "Mrs. Maria, you are honored. Thank you for inviting our family to be guests today. It is our honor to be invited by an elegant and beautiful lady like you." Hearing Loki's praise, Maria couldn't help covering her mouth and showing a joyful smile. "No, I'm also very happy to see your family." At this time, Sif, who was carrying a gift, also came over to 873 and asked Maria with some doubts, "Why didn't Maria see your husband and little Tony?" Sif wants to give out the meeting gift he carefully prepared when Maria's family is neat and tidy. She thought it would be more solemn, so she asked Maria. Maria replied to Sif with an apologetic face, "I'm sorry, Howard still has some work to do, and he may not be able to come back later. Little Tony just finished drinking milk and fell asleep in the crib. Speaking of Tony, I don't know what's wrong with this kid these days. He keeps crying in the middle of the night, but it exhausts me and Howard." When it comes to parenting, the two mothers, Sif and Maria, always have a lot to talk about. The two walked into the villa while chatting. Loki couldn't get in the way, so he could only hold Aisha's little hand and follow behind them. Following Maria to the living room, I saw the carefully prepared fruit platter and snacks on the coffee table. "Everyone, come and sit down here. It's not time for dinner yet. Let's have some afternoon tea and snacks first. It's not long since I moved here. If there is any place where the hospitality is not good, you must be sure. Bring it up with me." Everyone came to sit on the sofa, and Loki felt little Elsa tugging at his arm. When he looked down, he saw little Aisha blinking her eyes and looking at him expectantly. Loki knew what little Aisha was thinking at a glance, nodded to her and said, "Go eat if you want to eat. Remember to pay attention to your manners. Don't be as presumptuous as you are at home." Also, thanks to Ms. Maria hospitality. After dismissing Elsa as a snack, Loki began to feel a little bored. Aisha was so absorbed in wrestling with the food on the coffee table that she didn't care about him at all. Sif and Maria had a great conversation, and Loki couldn't get in on the topic they were talking about. Just when he thought that the next time would be difficult for him, the sound of the door being opened and the footsteps of two people came from outside the living room. Walking into the living room were two men in neat suits, and Loki had guessed their identities the first time he saw them. The one walking in front, with a mustache and curly hair, should be Maria's husband, the famous Howard Stark. And the person following Howard Stark was most likely his driver and butler, Edwin Jarvis. Oh, hello. I'm sorry I'm a little late, but you are the friends that Maria invited to the house? I'm Howard Stark. Howard came up to Loki and held out his hand. Loki also stood up and took his hand and introduced himself. Loki Odinson. My wife and I are both Norwegians, and we just moved to New York to work in Hatton last month. This is definitely a lie. He and Sif had compiled this information at home before coming here as a guest. It turned out to be a friend from Norway. I went there with the army during World War II. The most profound impact was the winter there, which was really bitterly cold. I'm used to it, and I'm naturally more resistant to cold. My friends often tease me, saying that I am more freezing than the cold wind in winter. It's true what Loki said, because he does frozen a lot. It's just that he's talking about physical effects, whereas Loki, to Howard, is describing his own personality. Really? Although it's the first time we met, I think you're quite funny. I don't know what you do. I'm an inventor and a businessman. Now that we're both living in New York, maybe we will have a chance to cooperate in the future. For this question, Loki has long been prepared. I am a historian engaged in Norse mythology research, and I am also an archaeologist. With that said, Loki waved to Sif, motioning her to take out the prepared gift. This is the meeting gift we brought here today. Shvi is a replica of the holy sword Durandar based on the description in ancient books. I hope you like it. But when Sif handed the gift to Howard, the expression on Howard's face became awkward. Jarvis, who has been following behind him without any sense of presence, immediately stood up and received a gift from Nozomi. Maria also stood up from the sofa and explained, I'm sorry, Howard has a quirk. He doesn't like to take things from other people's hands. So the things that others hand over are usually me and the Jarvis gang. He took it. Sorry, Howard said apologetically. I really like your gift, and I will hang it in the most conspicuous place in my office later. In any case, the first meeting between the two families was indeed a bit embarrassing. However, thanks to the fact that Maria and Sif hit it off immediately, and Howard is probably also very interested in Norse mythology because of Tesseract, and they quickly became acquainted after a few glasses of wine at dinner. After that, the relationship between the two became better and better, and Howard became Loki Midgard's second friend after Ancient One. The gatherings at Stark's house continued every weekend. After Maria's introduction, Sif found a good kindergarten in Manhattan, and little Aisha also started her kindergarten career. In the first few days when Aisha first entered the kindergarten, Loki, who was not at ease, used magic to hide every day, and followed behind to observe Aisha's performance. In order for his daughter to grow up physically and mentally, the old father Loki is really worried. It wasn't until a week later that Loki was completely relieved when he confirmed that Aisha could blend in well with her peers and that she didn't violate the agreement not to use magic power. But Loki didn't know until 3 years later, when Aisha was 6 years old, that his daughter had become the big sister of all the children in that kindergarten. To put it bluntly, Aisha, who inherited Frost Titan and Aesir god bloodline, even if she does not use magic power, her physical fitness is not comparable to that of children on Earth. Under such ability crushing, even if Aisha has never touched other children, those children who covet her big sister's head position can't break her defense as a result. Aisha has been the overlord of the kindergarten for 3 years from the time she entered school to the time she left. This makes Loki can't help but think, my daughter is worthy of the emperor. Sure enough, Elsa should inherit her throne and become the Ice Queen, and the Ancient One must not be abducted to Kamartash. When Elsa grew up, little Anna also became a little girl who could run, jump, and speak well. It's just that unlike Elsa in kindergarten who has a group of younger brothers, little Anna has only one younger brother, and that is Tony Stark. Chapter 57, Part 2. No way, although little Anna is a girl, she also inherited the powerful blood from Loki and Sif, and her physical ability is stronger than that of her elder sister Aisha at the same age. Just Tony, a nerd with physics books and math books all day long. How could he be little Anna's opponent? Little Anna directly told Tony a truth with her little powder fist. It's physics, it's useless to look at it. You have to practice it. What's worse, even if Tony went to complain to Maria, Maria would still be partial to little Anna when it comes to such petty fights between children. This made Tony wonder whether he was picked up by his parents from the trash can, but he felt that this kind of thing did not conform to the law of biological reproduction, and he was troubled for a long time. Fortunately, the kind little Anna would come to him every day and, physically, light up his head. So no matter how distressed he was, Tony kept sleeping like a baby. To this day, Tony's miserable childhood seems to be finally turning around. Chapter 58, Part 1. The Starks are moving back to Malibu, California. 3 years is enough for Stark Industries to complete the layout and development in New York. Now that the company's situation has stabilized, the President Howard will naturally return to headquarters and continue his previous work. After knowing that he was going to move soon, Tony could be said to be the happiest person in the whole family. He was so excited until midnight that night he still didn't fall asleep. As a result, when he woke up the next day with a pair of dark circles under his eyes, he was directly laughed at by little Anna for a whole day. But when the day of leaving New York came, Tony felt an indescribable sour feeling in his heart. He didn't know what happened to him, because there was no mention of this situation in the various engineering and science books he had read. So Tony knew for the first time that breaking up didn't seem to be a happy thing. Okay, Tony, what are you still doing here? Hurry up and say goodbye to Elsa and Anna. Maria patted Tony without saying a word. Seeing that Tony still didn't move, she knelt down and touched Tony's head again. I know, I'm going to be separated from my little friend. You feel uncomfortable now, don't you? Hearing his mother's question, Tony pouted stubbornly, as if he didn't want to admit his cowardice. But in the end, the tears in the eyes still fell down without disappointment, and Tony nodded slightly. It's okay, don't cry. If Anna sees you like this, she will make fun of you again. Hearing this, Tony quickly suppressed his sobs and wiped away his tears that night. After finishing all this, he secretly glanced at Anna. Realizing that Anna didn't see his embarrassment just now, she spit out the breath that was trapped in her chest. Tony, there is an old saying in the East called, there is no feast that never ends. Every parting in life is for a better encounter next time. Besides, we just moved back to Malibu to live, and it's not that we can't come to New York in the future. When you want to play with Anna, wouldn't it be good if we come back on the weekend? After some careful guidance and comfort from Maria, Tony finally calmed down. He came in front of Aisha and Anna. In order not to let the other party see the sadness in his heart, he deliberately said with a sullen face, if you miss me, remember to come and play with me, or you call me. I will let Mom bring me back to play with you. Compared to Tony's coy look, Elsa and Anna looked okay. After all, they often returned to Jotunheim through the portal opened by Loki, and the distance from New York to California was nothing to them. Although a little younger than Tony, Anna, who was Tony's big sister, stepped forward and patted her little brother on the shoulder and said, okay, I'll come back and play with you when I'm bored, so hurry up and get in the car, don't make Aunt wait. Also, this is a gift from my sister and I. Don't you often like to do handwork by knocking? I call that invention. Tony retorted. Don't interrupt me. But she was forcibly suppressed by Anna's boss immediately. I see that you often use a hammer, so I asked Dad to find someone to make one for us. Tell you, this hammer is made by imitating my uncle's meow meow hammer. You must keep it safe. If I go to play with you next time and find that you have lost it, Gudong, Tony shrank his neck, swallowed a mouthful of saliva to moisten his dry throat, and asked nervously, what if I lose it? Click, click. Anna clenched her fists, and the smile on her face gradually changed. Then Teacher Anna, I will give you a good physics class. Da. Hearing that Tony was holding the hammer bigger than his head on the spot, he ran to his suitcase, opened it, put it in, zipped it up, and finally locked the suitcase. No way, sometimes getting used to nature is such a terrible thing. Watching the Stark family's car go away and finally disappear at the corner of the street, Loki and Sif got into the car with the two little ones. That's right, during those 3 years, Loki and Sif, like most people in this country, got their driver's licenses and bought a family car. After 3 years of ordinary life in Midgard, although Aisha and Anna have more or less deviated from Loki's expected appearance, overall he and Sif are very satisfied with the growth of their two daughters. Seeking flowers 0, but as Anna grows from a baby to the little girl she is now, Loki and Sif gradually discover the difference between her and her older sister Elsa. Elder sister Aisha not only inherited the strong physical fitness of the Acer Protoss, but also inherited the innate ability of ice and snow from the Frost Titan. It's just that Aisha is better at learning magic and witchcraft than fighting skills, which can be said to be completely dependent on Loki. As for the younger sister Anna, so far, she has not shown any ability of Frost Titan. Maybe it's because 50% of her Frost Titan bloodline has been added to her physical fitness. Compared with Aisha at the same age, Anna's physical fitness is obviously a level higher. And for all kinds of fighting martial arts and 18 kinds of weapons, Anna can master them very quickly, but she is not very good at learning magic. 0 from this point of view, Anna still inherited more abilities from her mother Sif. But there is one exception. Although Anna can't learn other magics, she can learn space magic, such as the Arcane Gate and Flying Thor. Anna just watched Loki use it once. The differences in the abilities of the two sisters made Loki and Sif realize that in addition to allowing them to receive education in natural sciences as common people, it is also time to start guiding them to develop their abilities and potentials. Compared to Sif, Loki thinks more. As a coward, he definitely will not force his daughter to be better than Blue. But in his opinion, it is always a good thing to make Aisha and Anna stronger. Otherwise, what if you are bullied in the future? Loki can't always be able to rush to every family member to help them in the first time. At this time, they need to have enough strength to defeat the enemy, or wait for Loki to arrive. So after slowly getting to know the different abilities and potentials of Elsa and Anna, Loki has been thinking about how to help them gain stronger strength. After several years of thinking, Loki has made their own plans for Elsa and Anna to become stronger, and it is the kind of plan that does not need to become bald. Chapter 59, Part 1. Elsa's ability is first of all that she was born with the magical power of calling wind and snow, and this magical power is still growing at an alarming rate every year. Secondly, it is her ability to learn magic and witchcraft. For Elsa's ability to learn magic, Loki has only seen two equivalents in the past 1,000 years. One is definitely Loki himself, and the other is the Supreme Mage Ancient One who has been trying to abduct Aisha. However, the most precious abilities in Aisha are not these two, but the innate vitality in her magic power. Although Aisha is still unable to control this vitality freely for the time being, its existence makes the life created by Aisha using ice and snow possible to become magical creatures with independent consciousness and personality. So in Loki's vision, the most suitable path for Aisha is to become a summoning mage. The reason why he has been 550 against Aisha becoming the heir of Supreme Mage is because he hopes that the throne of Jotunheim can be handed over to Aisha in the future. On the other hand, it is because Aisha is actually not good at melee combat, but Kamartaj's mages are all melee mages. Even with Aisha's ability to quickly learn the magic of Kamartaj, how much combat power can she display after mastering it? The answer to this question is not optimistic in Loki's mind, but summoning mage is different. Aisha's huge ice and snow magic power allows her to constantly create powerful magical creatures, and the vitality contained in her magic power can give these magical creatures the consciousness of independent thinking and fighting, and provide protection for Aisha, the creator. As long as Aisha can master her ability proficiently, summoning mage is the development route that can best develop her strengths and avoid her weaknesses. In addition, in order to allow Elsa's ability to develop more comprehensively, Loki completely relied on his own understanding of magic theory to create the magic of ice modeling in an anime in his memory in this world. Although the ice modeling magic does not have the bugs of Moko Batmo, it is a magic that really tests the user's imagination. As long as the brain is big enough, the upper limit of ice modeling magic is still very high, and the magical creatures created by using the ice modeling magic can also directly infuse them with vitality, so that the ice modeling magic can also be regarded as a pre-summoning skill before summoning. In any case, magic, as a very universal ability, has no obvious shortcomings in terms of attack, defense, retreat, or assistance. So when Loki made a plan to become stronger for Aisha, he actually completed it without much thought. What worries Loki more is the youngest daughter Anna. Although Anna's ability in space magic can at least ensure that she can escape in time when she encounters danger. However, Loki once deeply understood that some problems cannot be solved by running away. When faced with some choices, even if you can run away, you have to face this problem head-on. And if one day, Anna really needs to make a choice, relying solely on physical fitness and fighting ability may not be able to help her solve the predicament in front of her. To solve this problem, the old father Loki needs to take action. Since Anna has a special ability in space-type magic, Loki will start from this aspect and create a magic suitable for her for Anna. So Loki began to rummage through the memories of his previous life, trying to see if he could find something that could be used as a reference. In the end, after searching every corner of his memory, he finally found one that met the requirements, which could not only solve Anna's single-handed flaw, but also bring out her ability to excel in melee combat. Dress-up magic is a magic that can summon weapons, armor, and other equipment stored in another space, and adjust and replace the equipment at any time according to the needs of the situation. Dress-up magic is essentially a type of space magic, a bit similar to Spiritism or the degraded version of King's Treasure. At the same time, if you want this magic to be powerful enough, you need to place high requirements on the weapons and armor stored in the space. In short, it requires the user to have the money ability. After all, where do you go to buy advanced equipment if you don't have money? But regarding this point, for Loki who owns the Lord's treasure, it is the easiest condition to satisfy. Anyway, the existence of King's Treasure is more of a convenience for him, and Loki has always used it as a portable space. As for the treasures inside, except for a few that are particularly practical or have special abilities, most of them are better for Loki than looking for water droplets made by dwarf craftsmen. Since there is already a ready-made storage space, there are also ready-made weapons and armors and other treasures. Next, as long as one problem is solved, the dress-up magic is truly completed. How can Anna summon the seal she needs from Loki's King's Treasure at will? Loki's solution is to fly Thor. Definitely, it's not that anything that Loki has developed before also gives Thor magic, because whether it is flying Thor second stage, or flying Thor guided mine, they cannot meet the requirements of summoning. But Loki suddenly thought, since flying Thor can make people jump through space through the magic imprint, can this magic also be reversed, allowing objects marked with magic imprint to jump through space, so as to achieve the effect of summoning? Theoretically, it is indeed feasible, but these items marked with the mark of magic power originally do not have magic power. Where does the magic power come from to summon it to the user? Can't you have to pre-store a piece of magic power on each treasure before each summoning? According to the innumerable number of treasures in the king's treasure, it is necessary to leave a mark of magic power to complete enchanting again. Who can have this magic power and energy? In this regard, Loki, who is rich and powerful, said that magic power is needed, right? Labor and capital have plenty. The core of the Millennium building blocks is the power gem, one of the 6 infinite gems. When it comes to magic, Loki has never been short of 2.0. It is also very simple to enchant the treasure and leave a magic imprint. Just use the 1,000-year-old building block as the power supply, and the skylock as the wire, and connect all the treasures in the king's treasure in series. Loki's main theme is Anna is free to fly, and Dad will always be with you. With these 2 exclusive strengthening plans customized for Elsa and Anna, Loki is confident that when the 2 sisters are adults, they can definitely press Thor on the ground. Cut. In Asgard far away, a hammer god rubbed his nose and said, "It's strange. I've been in good health since I was a child. Why did I sneeze today? Did someone scold me behind my back?" Chapter 60, Part 1. Loki, is it really okay for us to just leave Elsa and Anna here and return to Jotunheim by ourselves? Looking at the strange yet familiar Jotunheim palace on the other side of the portal, where he hasn't been back for a long time, Sif asked with some concern. Loki put his hands on her shoulders, and while pushing her into the portal, he said, "Don't worry. They are both grown girls and can take care of themselves. And now they won't come back for a while, and we can't contact them. Even if they come back, they will know where we are after seeing the message I left them on the table. If you want to see us, just use space magic to return to Jotunheim. There will be no problem." Sif is always overly worried about the safety and health of the 2 daughters, completely ignoring that Elsa and Anna are not the babies they were in. Elsa is 18 years old this year, and even Anna is 15 years old this year. Moreover, after more than 10 years of teaching and training by Loki, the strength of the 2 of them has long been different from what it used to be. The younger sister Anna has the strength of planet level 27 and can easily destroy a city, while the elder sister Aisha is even better, having reached level subgodfather, enough to freeze the entire Midgard with all her strength. Loki really can't think of any power on the current Earth that can harm the 2 sisters, and it's even worth Sif's worry. In his view, circle selection is completely groundless worry. The only thing that makes people more worried may be Aisha, who grows up and becomes more rebellious. Elsa has liked the feeling of flying freely in the sky while driving Vimana since she was a child. Perhaps it was Vimana who inspired her. After finishing high school, Aisha did not follow the route Loki and Sif set for her to continue her university studies. Instead, she secretly enrolled in the Air Force Academy and became an Air Force flight cadet. What makes Loki even more angry is that Howard Stark's helping the evil is indispensable. Because in the United States in this era, it is actually not difficult to become a flight member, but if you want to become a female flight member, it is a very difficult thing. If Howard hadn't used his relationship to help Aisha, even if she passed the Air Force school exam, she would not be able to get a place for admission. Since Aisha entered the Air Force Academy, Loki and Sif have not seen her for more than half a year. They couldn't get in touch with Aisha, and Aisha didn't take the initiative to contact them. The only news they had about Aisha was from Howard. I only know that Aisha's grades in the Air Force Academy are excellent, and she also knows 2 friends who are also very excellent, Carol Danvers and Maria Rambeau. Because of the excellent training results of the 3 of them, they were also selected together to participate in a secret project called Tiamat Project. Now it is even more difficult for Loki and Sif to contact Aisha. Fortunately, my younger sister Anna is quite obedient, even a bit more obedient than the 2 expected. Anna, who was only 14 years old last year, got early admission to MIT with Tony. And this year, together with Tony, he won the 4th MIT Robot Design Award and completed the magnificent turn from a true physics genius in childhood to a current physics master. And these are the real results that Anna has achieved through her own efforts. All this stems from the fact that Tony entered high school at the age of 7 and became a high school student because of his super learning ability. In order not to let Tony, the little brother, feel awkward in front of her, Anna, who was still a primary school student at the time, completed the primary and junior high school courses through self-study in only 1 year, and even skipped a grade to catch up with her 1 year ago. Entering high school Tony, Anna, who is now a college student, spends most of her time living in the dormitory provided by the school and only returns to New York during the winter and summer vacations. So now in the entire New York holy place, there are actually only 2 people who live here, Loki and Sif. And the reason why the 2 of them returned to Jotunheim in such a hurry today was because of a plan that Loki had shelved for 15 years. 15 years ago, when Anna was just born, Loki promised in front of Odin that he would help Thor become a qualified heir to the throne and proposed the Asgard collapse plan. According to the agreement at the time, Loki will start this project with Odin after Elsa and Anna can basically take care of themselves, and the three views are basically finalized. But now things have changed a little bit, so Loki has to start the Asgard collapse plan in advance. Because Odin's body is almost unable to hold on. Odin has already begun to delay the passage of his own life through Odin's sleeping bed due to the hidden wounds left in his body by the Battle of the Nine Realms thousands of years ago, and the burden brought to his body by sealing Hela, the goddess of death. Therefore, Loki must help Thor complete his own metamorphosis before the arrival of Odin's deadline, and prepare for inheriting the throne of Asgard. Loki and Sif return to Jotunheim this time, just to start the implementation of the Asgard collapse plan. In this plan, Thor will fall into complete desperation. Not only will he experience the death of his relatives 233 and the betrayal of his best friend that he has experienced in Loki's illusion, Loki will also make Thor completely lose his divine power, and then knock him out of the mortal world and live in Midgard as a mortal. Fumbling. In order to realize this plan, Loki must confirm every detail of the plan in advance and strive to make everything perfect, because the promotion of all the key plots must be completed by the ability of Mirror Flowers and Watermoon, completely hypnotic ability. In this reality-based fantasy that Loki is weaving, to make everything more believable, he will be the only one who knows all the plans. Even Odin and Frigg, Loki will give them full hypnotic ability when needed. Anyone else, after hearing of such a dire plan, would never let Loki do what he did. After all, the hypnotic ability is too terrifying. If Loki suddenly changes his mind during the process, then the entire Asgard will become his grasp. Just like in Naruto. After knowing Shirsue's kaleidoscope ability is another god who can completely change a person's will, Danzo sneaked away Shirsue's Sharingan and tried to kill him. If he hadn't had absolute confidence and trust in Loki, Odin would not have agreed without hesitation. Chapter 62, Part 1. Hi, my name is Winnie Lawson. Anna turned her head and saw a middle-aged woman with short white hair standing behind her, wearing an Air Force leather jacket, and stretched out her right hand towards herself. Anna also stood up, took her hand and introduced herself. I am Anna Locustdaughter, the sister of Elsa Locustdaughter, Elsa Locustdaughter. Today I came in for a visit through an application. Hearing this, Wendy Lawson looked at Anna's chest and saw that there was indeed a visitor's badge, and confirmed that Anna was not lying. Do you need me to show you around here? I'm quite familiar with the situation here. In addition, you have to be careful with this little guy. It's called Goo. Don't look at its harmless and cute appearance. Actually, it is very fierce, Wendy Lawson said, hugging Goo Goo Goo, who was lying in the corner, into his arms. Is it your pet? Anna looked at Goo 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 with some reluctance and asked. Wendy Lawson shook her head. No, it's my partner. I always take it with me when I'm flying. That's such a pity. But Wendy, although Goo Goo is your partner, you'd better give it a tag. I thought it was a stray cat that sneaked in from somewhere. Anna, a little disappointed, reminded. It seems to be the case. When I get back from get off work today, I will prepare a collar and tag for Goo Goo. Wendy also accepted Anna's suggestion. Yeah, that's good. If there is no hang tag, it's not good if Goo gets lost or is taken away by others. Wendy, you go and do it. I have almost visited the base. I will go, and my sister said hello and is going back. Wendy held Goo Goo in her arms and waved goodbye to Anna. But after Anna turned around, the expression on her face changed instantly, from the smile on her face just now to a very dignified one. Because in Anna's perception, that Dr. Wendy is very strange. The opponent's energy field is not like what a common earthling can possess at all. It's like the devouring beast and the orange cat of the earth, the Asgard people and the Midgardian people. Although they are very similar in appearance, but for Anna, who can perceive different life energy fields, they can be easily distinguished. The reason why Anna didn't expose Wendy Lawson's identity on the spot was because she didn't know the whole story. CHFD, on the one hand. Why did Aisha keep silent? She decided to ask Aisha what was going on. Unexpectedly, when she heard Anna mentioning Wendy Lawson, Aisha directly pulled her aside, avoiding Carol and Maria. Anna, have you met Dr. Lawson? Aisha asked with some surprise. Anna nodded. I met a lady named Wendy Lawson, and she also owns a Yuan Devourer. Aisha, you should have discovered that she is not from Midgardian, right? Hearing Anna's direct question, Aisha didn't hide anything and said frankly, Dr. Lawson is the person in charge of one of the photon engine projects in the Tiamat project I am participating in. I am meeting with you about the matter you mentioned. Found out on her first day. Then did you tell Uncle Howard? What did he say? Anna asked. Aisha shook her head. No, I didn't tell Uncle Howard the identity of Dr. Lawson. Why? Anna was puzzled. If she? Aisha raised her hand and interrupted Anna, saying, I know what you want to say, but Dr. Lawson is not that kind of person. She will not harm the earth. And how do you think I should explain this matter to Howard Uncle? Could it be that because our family is also aliens, can we sense Dr. Lawson's difference? Hearing Aisha's rhetorical question, Anna was stunned immediately. She really hadn't considered this question. After being silent for a while, Anna continued to ask, then what is the purpose of her coming to Earth? Is she simply living in seclusion here like us? Or is she, as a scientist, wanting to help the Earth improve its technological level? Neither. Aisha denied Anna's guess. Dr. Lawson is actually a Kree, whose real name is Marvel. The reason why she came to Earth is because she heard that Tesseract appeared on Earth. Wait. Anna interrupted Aisha's narration in surprise. Why would a Kree know about the Tesseract on Earth? Both Aisha and Anna knew about Odin hiding the Tesseract in Midgard, because Loki once told them this story, and Loki also mentioned that he once stole the Tesseract and then developed the flying Thor. But Loki later put the Tesseract back intact. It stands to reason that no one should know about the Tesseract except Odin, Thor, Loki, and their sisters. But now that Marvel was able to inquire about the Tesseract outside the Nine Realms, how many alien civilizations in the vast universe have already heard about this news? When mentioning this matter, Aisha also seemed to have a headache. It is estimated that when Grandpa hid the Tesseract in Midgard, he would not have imagined that the level of technology on this planet would develop so fast. I only found out about this after I entered the Pegasus Project. It turned out that Tesseract was discovered by an evil organization called Hydra as early as World War II. Hydra uses the energy in Tesseract to manufacture weapons through advanced technology, almost completely changed the situation of the war at that time. As for what happened afterwards, you also saw in the United States Captain's Memorial, Hydra failed. And the Tesseract was actually on the plane where Steve Rogers crashed. Howard Uncle accidentally salvaged the Tesseract when searching for the captain's body later. The so-called Tiamat project is actually a secret project around the development and utilization of the Tesseract. Hearing this, Anna didn't even know what to say. This kind of behavior in Midgard is simply equivalent to a child holding a treasure to swagger through the market, directly exposing himself to danger. For those alien civilizations that have developed, once they find that the Tesseract is on the Earth, no matter whether the Earth is ready for war or not, the enemy will not show any kindness because of the weakness of the Earth. Chapter 63, Part 1. Aisha obviously also saw Anna's thoughts. There is no way. It is too late to hide this news now. I just hope that Midgard can really get some research results on the Tesseract before the real enemy arrives. If the light-speed engine researched by Dr. Lawson can be successfully tested, then in the face of alien civilization, even if Midgard loses, at least there is still a chance to escape. Light-speed engine? Is this why Dr. Lawson is looking for the Tesseract? As a genius who graduated from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Anna captured the key information in Aisha's words at once. Yes. Aisha nodded and said, the Carey Empire, to which Dr. Lawson belongs, is a very powerful civilization in the universe. The Kree Empire provoked wars everywhere in the universe in order to expand, and Dr. Lawson resolutely betrayed the Kree Empire after seeing the injustice of these wars. And in order to protect the Skrulls being hunted down by the Kree Empire, Dr. Lawson found Tesseract and developed the light-speed engine. With the light-speed engine, the fleet of the Kree Empire will no longer be able to catch up with the Skrulls. At the moment, Anna's eyes widened, and she looked at her sister Aisha in disbelief. So, the Earth is very likely to be targeted by the powerful Kree Empire? Such an important thing. Aisha, you didn't say it earlier? Aisha quickly appeased her sister Anna and said, don't worry, Dr. Lawson has been very careful. The people of the Carey Empire don't know her plan, and they don't know that she and the Skrulls are hiding on the Earth. And even if people from the Carey Empire really came after them, wouldn't there still be Dad, Mom, and the others? Having said that, Aisha suddenly stopped, because she suddenly remembered one thing. Loki and Sif seem to have returned to Jotunheim, not in Midgard. If it doesn't work, the two of us should be able to last for a while, right? Aisha said with some embarrassment. Anna covered her forehead. She really couldn't see her sister's mindless behavior. It seems that what my father said is still reasonable. Reading more books is the most effective way to increase wisdom. With the abilities of the two of us, if we want to protect ourselves or some people in front of the fleet of the Kree Empire, it is indeed true. No problem. But if we want to protect the entire Midgard from being destroyed under the attack of the Carey Empire, this is beyond the scope of our current ability. Aisha also understands that what Anna said is the truth, but at the same time she really wants to help Dr. Lawson and the Skrulls. Is there no way to have the best of both worlds? Aisha said, looking at her sister with pitiful eyes. Although she is 3 years older than Anna in terms of age, and she is very gifted in the study of magic. But when it comes to IQ, Elsa also admits that Anna is smarter than herself. No matter what difficulties she encountered since she was a child, Anna can always help her think of a solution. Seeing Elsa looking at herself like that, what else can Anna do? Definitely help her. After thinking for a while in silence, Anna said to Aisha, first of all, we need to analyze our own situation. Who is the enemy we are going to face? Aisha said uncertainly, Carey Empire? Anna shook her head. Not only the Carey Empire, but also all the alien civilizations on Earth who already know the Tesseract. Then what strengths can we use here? What are there? Elsa didn't even try this time, and just waited for Anna to give her an answer. But Anna's answer was a little desperate. No. Mom and Dad left a note saying that Jotunheim and Asgard have something to go back to deal with, which means that we can't expect help from these two parties. As for Ancient One Mage and Kamar Taj, although they have enough power to solve the problem of alien civilization invasion, but their duty is to protect the safety of Midgard in magic test, so they will not help us, Aisha said with a bitter expression. After all, isn't this something that can only be done by the two of us? Anna gave a thumbs up and praised, hey, not bad. Aisha, you have improved, and you can actually understand this. Regarding Anna's yin and yang ridicule, Aisha gave her a blank stare. Get out. Then what should we do? You should tell me quickly. Ask for flowers. Don't worry, if you want to solve the problem, you must first find all the known conditions. There are actually two crises facing the Earth now. The first is the Kree Empire's pursuit of the Skrulls. Once they find the Skrulls, the Lu people are on the Earth, so the Earth may be affected during the arrest process. The second crisis is the leak of the Tesseract's location, which may attract snatches from powerful alien civilizations. To solve these two crises, the fundamental solution must be to make the Earth stronger. As long as it has enough strength, any enemy is a paper tiger. But it's a pity that this matter can't be done by just the two of us. It requires the accumulation and hard work of generations on the Earth. However, there are still ways to treat the symptoms. What is the solution to the symptoms? Aisha asked impatiently. The answer is on the surface of the riddle. Anna replied. What do you mean? Riddler, get out of Gotham. Anna's answer made Elsa confused. It means that Tesseract is not only the source of the crisis, but also the solution to the crisis. Like Dad's Millennium building blocks, Tesseract has unlimited energy. With Aisha's current strength, if you can use Tesseract to increase your strength, I don't think it should be your opponent, whether it is the fleet of the Kree Empire or other alien civilizations. After listening to Anna's explanation, Hie Hie immediately became excited. That's right. Anna, you are so clever. You can think of such a clever way. If I have Tesseract in my hand, no matter how many people they come, I am sure to freeze them all into ice cubes. Anna agreed, yes, under the condition of unlimited supply of magic power. I think it's Dad's unique move, Mokobotama. You can try it too, Aisha. So, where is the Tesseract, Elsa? You should know? As Anna's voice fell, the two fell into a sudden silence. Chapter 64, Part 1. At this moment, an alarm suddenly sounded in the base. Seeing this, Aisha and Anna hurried out from the corner to check the situation. Anna saw Maria Rambo with a tense expression, so she immediately stepped forward to stop her and asked, Maria, what happened? Seeing that it was Aisha and Anna, Maria gradually calmed down and said to them, just now Dr. Wendy Lawson came to tell me and Carol that she will conduct the first real flight test of the light speed engine today. Because I promised Monica to pick her up from school tonight, Carol took the initiative to take over the task of the first real flight test. But just now, the command tower received a signal from Carol requesting support. They were attacked by an unknown enemy plane. Now the tower is calling for flight to fly this second country fighter plane to support. Anna and Aisha looked at each other when they heard the words and communicated with their eyes. Could it be someone from the Kree Empire? Aisha was not sure, so she could only respond to her with the same eyes. There is this possibility? So Anna made a decisive decision, looked at Maria and asked, then what are you and Aisha waiting for? Hurry up and prepare to support Carol. But Maria and Aisha showed helpless expressions at the same time. Maria explained to her, here, female flight crews are not allowed to participate in combat. Even if the three of us have better results in training than all male flight crews, this result has not changed in any way. Aisha also nodded and said, that's right. If Uncle Howard hadn't helped me back then, I might have failed in the registration stage, and I wouldn't have been able to enter the Air Force Academy at all. Do you know why only the three of us were selected for the Tiamat project? Is it a female flight attendant? Having said that, Anna has been able to speculate the reason. Because your chief wants to exclude you from combat missions. That's right. So even though Maria and I would very much like to fly to Carol right now and support her, there's nothing we can do. Then can we just wait for the news here? Anna was a little anxious. Although she and Carol hadn't known each other for a long time, she already regarded him as one of her most important friends. No, I can't just sit and wait. Maria, stay here and wait for Carol's news to come back. Aisha, come with me. Anna took Aisha's hand and ran towards the corner where they were talking just now. After confirming that there is no one around and there is no monitoring device, he asked Aisha, Aisha, do you still remember how to drive Vimana? While talking, Anna opened the mirror space. Then using the dress-up magic, Vimana was summoned from Loki's king's treasure. Aisha suddenly realized, looked at Anna and said, you mean? That's right. We acted secretly. As long as we don't get discovered by others, it doesn't mean we haven't done anything. Haha, great idea. You are indeed my sister Elsa. Come on, get on the spaceship. My sister will let you experience the superb flight skills I have trained over the years. Woohoo! As expected, it's more fun to fly the Vimana flight. The speed of the Earth's fighter jets is too slow. As soon as Aisha took off in the Vimana, she immediately flew wildly in the mirror space. Anna, who was sitting next to her, also shouted excitedly. It's been a long time since I've been in the Vimana you're driving, sister. It's really tight pants. Elsa and Anna sat in Vimana and headed north, following Carol's previous flight route. Relying on Vimana's extreme speed, the two quickly found the place where Carol had an accident. That's the place where the smoke is coming out, sister. Stop it. Vimana cannot appear outside the mirror space. While supporting Carol, Anna did not forget to keep their identities secret. Anna took Vimana back in the mirror space again, then summoned 2 golden masks to cover her face, and then opened the portal to the crash site of Carol's plane. The two of them walked out of the mirror space and saw Carol lying unconscious on the ground with blood on his face. Not far from the wreckage of the plane, it was Wendy Lawson who had no signs of life. In addition, a man and a woman appeared at the accident scene, and they were about to take the unconscious Carol away. The energy fields on them are very special, very similar to Dr. Lawson. Aisha and Anna immediately judged that the other party must be a pursuer from the Kree Empire. Knowing that the other party was an enemy, Aisha and Anna didn't hold back and directly attacked their heads. Elsa used the magic of ice and snow to create an ice arrow and shot it at the male Kree's head. And Anna took out the spiral sword, and the blade released sword light extending like a rainbow, straight for the head of the female Kree. However, those two had very rich combat experience. After they perceived danger, they dropped the unconscious Carol in an instant and dodged immediately. Aisha's ice arrow was dodged by the opponent, fell into the river not far away and exploded a splash, and then was instantly condensed into ice crystals by the low temperature. Another female Kree reacted equally quickly, bending over to avoid Anna's fatal blow. But the attack of the spiral sword is not so light that one can retreat all over the body. Anna took advantage of the trend and swung the sword down. This time the opponent finally couldn't dodge, and Anna cut off his left arm with the sword. Seeing that the situation was not good, the two quickly launched an attack towards the ground, stirring up a thick cloud of smoke and dust, blocking Elsa and Anna's sight by 1.5. Aisha, you must not let them run away. If you let them bring the news back to the Kree Empire, then the Earth will be in big trouble. As Anna spoke, she launched the spiral sword again, and the smoke screen created by the enemy was a horizontal slash. However, this luck attack didn't accomplish anything. After suffering from Anna's hand just now, the enemy has already taken precautions against it. At the same time, Aisha was ready to go, and the icy cold air spread rapidly from her feet towards the direction of the enemy, and everything she passed was frozen by it. Can Aisha's attack leave enemies behind? Chapter 65, Part 1. As the smoke cleared, the enemies and their spaceships were long gone. Both Aisha and Anna can already imagine that in the not-too-distant future, the Kree Empire will lead their fleet, and the army will crush the border. Fortunately, Carol was not taken away by them. What should we do now? Those two Kree people, after they go back, they will definitely bring all the things on Earth back to the Kree Empire. Aisha asked, a little annoyed. She released the cold attack just now, because she was worried about hurting the unconscious Carol. She didn't use her full strength. As a result, the two Kree managed to escape. The matter of the Kree Empire can be discussed later, Aisha. Don't you find that Carol's current state is a little bit wrong? Hearing what Anna said, Aisha discovered that Carol's bioenergy field at the moment had undergone earth-shaking changes. If the biological energy field of Elsa and Anna is used as a reference, then Carol's energy field strength is now between the two sisters, and it is very close to Elsa of level Subgodfather. 27. What's going on here? What did the two Kree people do to Carol? After realizing the changes in Carol, Aisha was furious. So much so that the magic power of ice and snow in her body went out of control, and the cold air was constantly blowing out. Calm down, sister. It's not necessarily what the two Kree people did. If they had this kind of ability, wouldn't it be better to use it on themselves? They wouldn't have escaped so embarrassingly just now. Anna's words quickly calmed Aisha's anger. If it wasn't them, how did Carol become what he is now? Dr. Lawson did it? Analyzing the current information, I can't give a definite answer. I'm afraid we will have to wait for Carol to wake up before we know the ins and outs of the matter. Now we should leave. The support sent by the base is about to arrive. Aisha glanced at Carol again to confirm that the other party was fine for the time being, and then followed Anna through the portal and returned to the Air Force base. But what happened next was completely beyond the control of Aisha and Anna. Although Carol successfully woke up, but lost all the memories of the past. The crash between her and Dr. Lawson was also recorded as an accident. In addition, with the death of Dr. Lawson, the Tesseract, which was taken away by her to study the light speed engine, also disappeared, and the Tiamat project was forced to suspend. Without the tasks of the Tiamat project, Maria and Aisha, the two nominal flight members, fell into a state of unemployment in an instant. The only person who gained something from this incident may be Anna, who adopted Cuckoo. After all, once Dr. Lawson died, there would be no one to take care of Cuckoo, so he couldn't let this majestic beast eat mice by himself. So Anna took advantage of Howard's relationship and, reluctantly, adopted this poor kitten. However, in order to create another dressing space in the different dimensional space of Gugu's belly, Anna still needs to slowly accumulate her own weapons and armor. Aisha, Anna, and Maria have been waiting for several days, but they have not waited for a chance to meet Carol. This also makes them feel that something is not right. Aisha and Anna decided to sneak into the hospital ward where Carol was being treated, to confirm whether Carol's situation was consistent with what their superiors had informed them. Taking advantage of the night, Aisha used magic to cover her and Anna's figures, and then the two walked to the base hospital together. But the closer they got to the hospital, the more strange the sisters felt. There are surprisingly many patrols and guards deployed around the hospital. Compared with the usual situation in the hospital, the number of security personnel has at least doubled. This made Aisha and Anna more and more sure that things here must not be simple. The two came carefully to the front of Carol's ward, but to their surprise, there was no one guarding it. It was only after they opened the door and entered that they realized why no manpower was deployed here, because Carol was not in this ward at all. What should we do? We don't even know where Carol was taken by them now. Aisha looked at Anna anxiously, hoping to get an answer from her. And Anna did not disappoint Aisha, and she could give her the way forward every time she encountered difficulties. Don't worry, you forgot that before we left the crash site. I left the magic imprint of flying Thor on the back of Carol's hand. Unless Carol is taken to a place where magic induction can be completely isolated, we will be able to find her location. Yeah, Anna, you are amazing. Mua, the excited Aisha directly took Anna's delicate and soft cheeks and kissed them. However, she was disgusted by Anna, and wiped the place where Aisha had kissed vigorously with her sleeve. Anna, you actually dislike me? Elsa's eyes widened in disbelief. Okay, Elsa, don't play tricks. I'm going to start to feel the magic mark left on Carol. Seeing Elsa's plan broke out, Anna quickly changed the subject. Seeing this, Aisha could only give up and quietly waited for the result. Carol is still in the hospital. After a while, Anna sensed Carol's location, and it's just below room 950 of this ward. Below? Aisha said in surprise. But aren't we on the first floor? There are no floors below. Anna shook her head. Maybe it's not that there is no such thing. It's just that no one has ever discovered it. Let's go down and have a look. After Anna finished speaking, she opened the portal at her feet. The two of them lost their feet and fell straight down. Sure enough, there is an unknown secret space underground in the hospital. The construction here is very exquisite, and the area is not small. It has obviously existed for a long time. Anna analyzed. Aisha, let's go to Carol first. I'm worried that there may be some accidents if we go late. Okay. Anna snapped and pulled Aisha along the guidance of the magic mark, and soon they came to a room. Carol's in there, Anna whispered. Aisha nodded, and then cast a layer of invisibility magic on the two of them, and then with the help of the magic of the mirror space, they quietly passed through the barrier of the door. But as soon as they entered the room, they saw a scene that shocked both of them at the same time. Chapter 66, Part 1. In the dimly lit room, a group of green-skinned, ugly alien creatures chattered endlessly at a screen, and behind them is Carol Danvers, who disappeared from the ward. Carol was hung upside down by the aliens on a strange device, and a device on either side of her temples was releasing blue's electric waves towards her temples. Judging from the flashback of Carol's memory on the screen, these alien creatures are trying to read Carol's memory. Aisha, freeze them first. After we rescue Carol, we will torture them, Anna said to Aisha. Aisha nodded. The magic power of ice and snow surged in her body, and a burst of extreme cold was released instantly. In the entire room, apart from Carol, Aisha, and Anna, all other objects immediately bloomed with ice flowers. Those ugly alien creatures who peeped at Carol's memory in front of the screen were also temporarily imprisoned in the frozen ice shell. With Aisha's spellcasting, her and Anna's originally hidden figures were completely exposed. Anna summoned a sharp sword using the magic of dressing up and accurately cut off the device that bound Carol's limbs, and then hugged Carol firmly with one hand, holding Carol firmly in her arms. Aisha, wake up Carol with magic. Anna took Carol back to Aisha, but Aisha's awakening magic was very direct, condensing a snowball and hitting Carol's face just like that. However, the effect of this move was good. Under the stimulation of Snowball's coldness, Carol's eyelids began to tremble slightly, and then he gradually woke up. Carol, how are you? Seeing this, Aisha hurried to Carol and asked. But what she didn't expect was that Carol looked at her eyes full of fear and confusion, as if seeing a stranger. Where am I? Who are you guys? Who am I? Carol looked around in a daze, and then looked nervously at Aisha and Anna. She seemed to be very familiar with these two people in front of her, but no matter how she recalled, she couldn't find any memories in her mind. Your name is Carol Danvers, and you are an Air Force flight officer. We are your friends, Elsa and Anna. As for this place, to be honest, we don't know what the hell this is, Anna explained to Carol. Carol, do you remember anything? Aisha asked again. Carol shook his head. The expression on his face became a little painful. She covered her head with her hands and struggled to say, No, I can't remember anything. Aisha stepped forward to hug her and gently stroked her head. Okay, Carol, it doesn't matter if you can't remember it for a while. Don't force yourself. Speaking of which, Aisha looked at Anna again. It seems that we need to go back to Asgard. In Carol's current situation, we need to use the soul-forging furnace to solve it. 1 inch impossible. Anna denied Aisha's thoughts. Asgard prohibits mortals from entering? Have you forgotten? Then what should we do? How about we ask Mom and Dad for help? With Dad's means, he must have a way to help Carol. Aisha suggested again. As far as the current situation is concerned, Anna can't think of a good solution. The abilities that she and Aisha are good at are not healing, and asking Loki and Sif for help is also a feasible option. You can try it, but Aisha, are you sure you want to go back to see Dad? Before you left without saying goodbye and directly signed up for the Air Force Academy, Dad was so angry that he almost demolished the house. Hearing Anna's reminder, Aisha's back suddenly broke out in cold sweat, and her face turned pale in an instant. I almost forgot about it. Elsa can be said to be the one who knows how much my father holds grudges. But this time for her friend Carol, even if she threw herself into the trap, Aisha accepted it. It's okay. I'm his daughter anyway, and he won't do anything to me. If something really happens, I'll hide behind you. And Mom, hearing what Aisha said, the corners of Anna's mouth couldn't help twitching. I thought you were so righteous, but you still use me and my mother as a shield. Hey, my good sister, Aisha said with a flattering expression. You just have pity on my sister and help me? Okay, I'll just help you. Don't be so disgusting, okay? Carol will get sicker because of your fright. After dismissing Aisha, Anna came to Carol and said softly, Carol, you have temporarily lost your memory because of an accident. In order to help you retrieve your past memories, we may take you to a place that is very strange to you later. Can you trust us? Although Carol's eyes were still full of confusion, she could feel an inexplicable sense of intimacy and familiarity from the two strangers in front of her. So facing Anna's question, Carol nodded and agreed with almost no hesitation. Seeing that Carol was willing to believe in herself, Anna also showed a joyful smile on her face. She looked at Aisha and said, Aisha, if you are mentally prepared, we are leaving now. Aisha nodded as if she was dead, and then opened the portal to the Jotunheim palace. In Jotunheim, Loki, who was dealing with government affairs in the palace, suddenly raised his head and looked towards the center of the hall. In the next second, a portal splashing with magical sparks appeared where Loki was looking. Immediately afterwards, Elsa and Anna walked out of the portal with a girl Loki had never seen before. But facing the two, Wang's Hao daughters whom he hadn't seen for a long time, Loki's eyes were not on them, but on the strange woman. Because from that girl, Loki felt a very familiar feeling. And the last time he had the same feeling was when he was studying in Kamar Taj more than 1,000 years ago. At that time, the most important thing for him every day was to conduct research on Tesseract after returning to the dormitory from the library. At this time, Luigi had already guessed the identity of the strange woman brought back by Aisha and Anna. At the same time, a brand new plan also appeared in his mind. In the middle of the hall, looking at the way their father looked at them, Elsa and Anna suddenly felt a chill down their backs, as if something bad was about to happen. Chapter 67, Part 1. B. Aisha nervously looked at Loki on the throne, but as soon as she met Loki's gaze, her head drooped guiltily, and she didn't dare to look at him again. Why are you so cautious? Since you have come back on your own initiative, can I, a father, still deliberately make things difficult for you? Hearing this, Aisha finally breathed a sigh of relief and relaxed. Anna was also happy for Elsa and Loki's reconciliation, showing a joyful smile. Seeing this, Anna strikes while the iron is hot, briefly explaining to Loki the ins and outs of their bringing Carol back this time. Dad, is there any way you can help Carol so that she can recover her previous memories? After Anna's narration, Loki also confirmed that his guess was correct. The girl brought back by the sisters is the famous superhero in the future, on Team Marvel. In this way, the premise for the establishment of the entire plan is in place. Loki thought to himself, how do you want me to help her? Loki asked, looking at the two daughters. Dad, can you ask Grandpa to allow Carol to enter Asgard 563 to use the Soul Forge? Aisha asked tentatively. Loki shook his head. If this is the requirement, you don't have to think about it. It's impossible. Loki rejected Aisha's request without hesitation. It's not because he couldn't bear the shame and pleaded with Odin for Aisha's request, mainly since the Asgard Collapse project was launched. The entire Asgard is now controlled by him through complete hypnotic ability. At this time, if Aisha and Anna take Carol to Asgard for treatment, it is likely to disrupt his previous deployment. Then Dad, is there any other way you can help Carol? After Aisha's proposal was rejected, Anna asked another question. Loki thought for a moment before saying, there is a way to try, but I can't guarantee it will work. What way? Aisha and Anna asked in unison. I can try to stimulate her brain nerves with illusion. This method has certain risks, and it may not be effective. Hearing Loki said that there might be risks, Elsa and Anna fell into silence, not knowing what to do. But at this time, Carol, who had been silent all this time, suddenly said very firmly, I am willing to give it a try. Feeling Elsa and Anna's concern for her, Carol is more and more eager to retrieve her memory and find the bits and pieces of their relationship with each other. So even if there was a risk, Carol decided to fight it out. At the same time that Carol made a decision, Luigi showed a slight smile on the corner of his mouth. Because so far, everything is going according to his plan. Aisha and Anna don't know about the skill of illusion, but Loki knows it well. As an auxiliary ability, it is impossible to cause any harm to Carol. Loki said that just to give him an excuse to mobilize Carol's instincts for a while. I think back then, in order to develop the fairy mode, he studied the energy structure of Tesseract day and night and analyzed its operating principle. But after studying for such a long time, the final results still fell short. But Captain Marvel was just accidentally hit by the Tesseract energy leaked from the photon engine, and by chance, he actually realized the fairy mode that Loki hadn't completed yet. This not only enhanced Carol's physical fitness, but when the ability was activated, he could also constantly obtain energy from the outside world, convert it into light energy in his body, and then emit it through his hands. Loki hopes that by studying the mystery, Chej, of the immortal mode's unexpected success on Ear, he can truly realize this skill that he has never been able to complete. After learning about Carol's determination, Aisha and Anna did not speak out to dissuade, but stayed firmly by her side, providing her with spiritual support in this way. Loki was naturally happy to see the results. Since the three of them had no objections, Loki also struck while the iron was hot, and directly began to cast illusions on Carol. The illusion that Loki casts on Carol is the magic Naraku seeing technique. Under the effect of this illusion, Carol will face his most feared things in the environment. But what Loki expected was that when the illusion took effect, Carol's body also had a stress response, and he involuntarily turned on the double star state. Seeing Carol in this state, Aisha and Anna were both startled. Although they have known for a long time that Carol's energy field strength has changed due to unexplained changes. But this is the first time they have seen Carol's energy fully stimulated. Dad, what's wrong with Carol? Is there any danger? Aisha asked quickly. Loki had been checking Carol's changes through magic power, but when he heard Aisha's question, he had to stop temporarily and responded. You don't have to worry, this is just her brain's natural reaction to the stimulation of the illusion. It is a normal phenomenon. As for the source of this ability on her, didn't you say that the light speed engine of the plane she was driving during the mission was developed using Tesseract? It should be that when the plane crashed, the energy in the light speed engine accidentally leaked to her body, and as a result, this super ability was born in her body. From the current point of view, this accident did not cause her any adverse reactions. On the contrary, it made her suddenly possess the strength of a level sub-god father, which can be regarded as a unique blessing. It is a good thing that no one can envy. After Loki's explanation, Elsa and Anna finally felt relieved, and Loki continued to decipher the mystery of Captain Marvel ability. Combining his experience and theoretical data in developing the immortal mode, Loki's research on Carol's double star state is progressing extremely fast. The reason why Loki failed at the beginning was actually stuck in the step of absorbing natural energy. Just figure out how Carol tames the berserk natural energies, and Loki's celestial mode can be completely perfected. Finally, after double-checking, Loki found in Carol the answer he hadn't gotten for so many years. So that's it. This is the key to the success of the immortal mode. Chapter 68, Part 1. Jotunheim, in the Palace of the King. Loki still quietly casts the illusion on Carol. But gradually, as the natural energy from the outside world continued to pour into Carol's body, Loki's magic power had less and less influence on Carol's energy. Finally, at a certain critical moment, the energy in Carol's body helped her break through the influence of Loki and wake up from the illusion. With the failure of the illusion, Carol's double star state gradually converges until it returns to normal state. Carol, how do you feel? Do you remember us coming? Aisha was the first to rush to Carol and asked. But when she saw that Carol's eyes were still full of confusion, she knew that Loki's method didn't work. Carol's response was just as Aisha had guessed. She shook her head and said with some self-blame, I'm sorry, but I failed all of your hard work. Anna hurried forward to comfort her. No such thing, Carol. It's not your fault. Since this method doesn't work, let's think of another method. As soon as Anna finished speaking, Elsa put on a pitiful look and looked at Loki, obviously wanting to express, Dad, Let's think of a way. A Loki covered his forehead helplessly. Not only are his two daughters not little cotton-padded jackets, but they are still looking for him to collect debts. There is a way. Didn't you just say that before you came to Jotunheim, a group of green-skinned aliens were peeping at your friend's memory? Since they have the technology to capture memories from human brains and digitize them, why don't you go back and ask them to help? After listening to Loki's suggestion, Anna suddenly realized, that's right. Why don't we go to them directly, instead of looking far away, come back to Asgard? We are in the dark. But Elsa, who was always slow, didn't react as quickly as Anna. Huh? Go back and ask them to help? But what if they don't want to help us? I just froze them all into ice cubes. Hearing Elsa's question, Loki couldn't help but yelled at her. I told you to study more. You insisted on going to the Air Force Academy, and now you can't even understand such a simple question. Since you can freeze them into ice cubes, in the face of absolute strength, as long as they still want to survive, why would they reject you? Aisha also realized that the question she asked was too stupid, so she stuck out her tongue embarrassingly. Okay, take your friends and leave. In the next period of time, if there is nothing particularly important, you should not go back to Jotunheim and Asgard. Your grandfather and I have something to deal with. Loki vaccinated Elsa and Anna in advance. Originally regarding Asgard collapse plan, Loki didn't intend to drag his two daughters into it. But now coincident with the birth of Captain Marvel, Loki had a plan. Bringing Elsa and Anna to the Earth to learn and grow, although they didn't make them grow crooked like Thor. But the peaceful growth environment on the Earth also made them too naive, thinking that their strength is enough to solve all puzzles. So Loki decided to take the opportunity of Asgard Collapse Project to train his two daughters well. Let them grow up not only in strength, but also in psychology and spirit. When Anna opened the portal and was about to return to the secret space under the hospital with Elsa and Carol, Loki suddenly stopped them. It's nothing, but it suddenly occurred to me that I haven't performed my trick, Mirror Flower and Water Moon, for you. Alright, the show is over now. You go back. The two sisters Elsa and Anna were confused by Loki's weird behavior, but they are now anxious to help Carol retrieve her memory, so they don't take this matter to heart. After the portal was completely closed, Loki, who stayed in the palace, said to himself, enjoy the last good life on Earth. For a long time to come, you will have to face the challenges I set for you. The next test? On the other side, the three people returned to the underground space of the hospital, only to find that there was an extra person from at the moment in the room just now. Ask for Flowers 00. It's just that what appeared this time was not an alien creature, but a native Earthling. That. I said that I accidentally walked the wrong way. Will you believe me? Looking at the three Aisha who suddenly appeared in the room through the portal, the one with cropped hair and a slightly rustic appearance, the black youth asked sincerely, what do you think? Aisha asked him back, sending out a cold air, binding his body from the neck down with ice crystals. Well, it seems that you don't believe me. The flattering smile on the black man's face immediately turned into a wry smile. Tell me, who are you? Why did you appear in this place? Anna stopped talking nonsense with him and started cross-examining him directly. My name is Nick Fury, and I am an agent of the Strategic Homeland Defense Offensive and Logistics Agency. The reason why I am here is because the accident report of the crash incident by Ms. Carol behind you is strange, so the superior sent me here to investigate secretly. People under the eaves had to bow their heads. Faced with the dangerous ability that Aisha has mastered that he has never seen before, Nick Fury explained his identity and mission very cooperatively. Are you from the Homeland Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Agency? Aisha asked. It's true. Nick Fury replied very positively. In this case, you should stay here honestly for a while, and when we are done with our affairs, we will let you go. Knowing that the other party is an agent of the Homeland Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Bureau, that is, Howard Stark's subordinates, Aisha didn't continue to trouble him. Aisha, let's break their ice. We need their help next. Hearing Aisha's words, Anna stopped paying attention to Nick Fury and turned her attention to those aliens. But Nick Fury, who was left aside by them, was terrified by the scene of Aisha unblocking the group of aliens. After all, he never thought that he would be able to see aliens in his lifetime, and they were such ugly aliens. Chapter 69, Part 1. On Morag, Loki came here again after 1,000 years, and the environment on the planet is still as desolate as before. In the past, there are still traces of his battle with egg duplication here. Those objects that were frozen by the Ice Age, even after thousands of years, still have no trace of melting. Recalling Egu, the former mortal enemy, if nothing else happened, the other party should still be frozen on the original planet. There are so many things that I almost ignored the existence of Egu. After this matter is completed, find a time to completely eliminate him. With my current strength, it is completely enough. That's right, Loki came to Morag again this time, not to appreciate the past. This time he put down the Asgard Collapse Plan, 463, plan, and came here. The real purpose is to try the fairy mode again. All this is thanks to his two daughters who sent Captain Marvel Carol Danvers in front of him, which made him finally find the key to perfecting the immortal mode. However, although Loki is very confident about this attempt, he believes that he will be able to succeed. But just in case, the magic runaway event like the last time on Earth happened again, Loki finally chose the deserted planet Morag as the test site. Coming to the abandoned temple where the cosmic spirit orb was previously stored, Loki first sealed the entrance and exit of the temple with the power of freezing, and then used magic to set up various protective and warning measures around it. After finishing all this, Loki sat down cross-legged and began to recall all the details of the perfect fairy mode in his mind. In fact, the original version of the fairy model that Loki independently researched was very close to success. In theory, Loki has completed 100%, but in practice, there is still a lack of flexibility that requires careful consideration. This kind of research and polishing of details often takes a lot of time and energy. For Loki, who is seeking to improve his strength as soon as possible, such input and output are not worthwhile. So after the first failure, Loki temporarily gave up the study of the immortal mode. Fortunately, these shortcomings have been made up for with the emergence of the perfect case of Carol Danvers. After carefully investigating Carol in the double star state, with magic power, Loki finally knew the reason why he failed in the first place, and at the same time found the path to success. The reason why Loki failed in the first place was because he built the energy matrix in his body. This led to the fact that when the energy matrix started to operate, the violent raw energy had to pass through his body before it could be gathered into the energy matrix. And in this process, Loki's body must withstand the pressure and damage brought by the violent raw energy, otherwise the whole process will fall short and even the magic calendar will go berserk. But this is not the case in Carol. Almost every cell in her body is an independent energy matrix. The benefits of this distributed structure, on the one hand, eliminate the pressure caused by the process of absorbing the original energy. On the other hand, the speed and efficiency of energy absorption and transformation are greatly improved. For Loki, this may be the perfect way to achieve fairy mode. However, if Loki wants to achieve the same effect as Carol on himself, the difficulty is not ordinary. It can be said that Carol can have such an ability. It can be said that it is purely a coincidence. If another person is directly hit by the energy extracted from the Tesseract, then there is a high probability that this person will directly turn into a pile of ashes, not the second Captain Marvel. Loki wants to use his own power to realize this accidental miracle, the difficulty of which can be imagined. First of all, it is almost impossible to construct an energy matrix in each cell. The number of cells in a person is generally between 40 and 60 trillion. Even if the Millennium building blocks can constantly provide Loki with energy, it would take unimaginable energy and time to construct an energy matrix in each cell. But since Loki has come to Morag, he must have already figured out a solution. Originally, Loki was also very troubled by this problem. After all, he could not leave everything behind and build an energy matrix for his cells every day. If there is no better way, then he can only give up the skill of immortal mode again. Fortunately, I finally thought of a solution for Loki, and this solution is related to the Supreme Mage Ancient One. It is precisely because of Ancient One's exploration that Loki knows that the magic power obtained through faith or blood is mixed with the will of the gods. To break the boundaries between different magic systems, it is necessary to purify the magic power, or directly use the pure energy in the thousand-year-old building blocks like Loki. But now, Loki intends to do the opposite, mixing his own will with the pure energy extracted from the thousand-year-old building blocks. Loki's idea is very simple. Since it takes a lot of time and energy to build the energy matrix in the cells one by one, why not just automate the whole process? Injecting one's own will into pure magic, although it will also consume a lot of Loki's mental power. But in terms of the efficiency of building the energy matrix, letting the magic power act by itself is far more efficient and faster than letting Loki control the magic power. Magic automation, even Loki admired himself for being able to think of such a good way. That is to say, Loki possesses a supply source of infinite pure energy like Millennium Building Block 1.1, and also has the spiritual power of Level Godfather, so he can use this rich and willful method. But even so, Loki estimates that it will take at least a week for his mental strength to fully recover. It can be seen that although this method is good, the consumption of mental power is also extremely terrifying. In just a few minutes, Loki has simulated in his mind all the details of the entire process of opening the fairy mode. Now is the time to put your theory to the test by putting it to the test. Summoning the thousand-year-old building blocks from the king's treasure, the real challenge has just begun. Chapter 70, Part 1. Midgard, Air Base Hospital Underground Space. That's how it is. We are not invaders who want to invade the Earth. We are just wanderers in exile in the universe. Because we, the Skrulls, resisted the tyranny of the Kree Empire, we were hunted down by the legions of their accusers. Thanks to Dr. Marvel's help, we were able to escape safely to Earth. Wendy Lawson is Dr. Marvel's alias on Earth. She promised to help us develop the light speed engine, so that we Skrulls can get rid of the Kree Empire once and for all. But before the Doctor could complete the development of the light speed engine, the Kree discovered our whereabouts. They sent fighter planes, shot down the plane piloted by your friend, and killed the Doctor. We had no choice but to peek into her memory in order to find the energy core that makes the light speed engine. It's a pity that you found this place before we had the key information, and you froze us all into ice. In the room, these alien creatures claiming to be Skrulls all raised their hands high and squatted on the ground with their backs against the wall. Under the strong threat of force from the two sisters Elsa and Anna, one of the leaders named Talos told them the ins and outs of the matter. But how do we know whether what you say is true or false? Why should we believe you? Anna was skeptical about Talos' account. Okay, this little girl. Talos was about to explain when he was rudely interrupted by Anna. If you dare to call me little girl again, I will kick you in some places that I shouldn't. Talos, should I guess where that might be? Your ass. Nick Fury and Carol said in unison. Oh, well, I was rude. Well, dear lady, I have a piece of evidence in my hand that I think should be enough to prove the reliability of what I just said. Can I take it out of my pocket? Don't worry, I will never make any small moves. Talos pointed to his coat pocket and asked Elsa and Anna for instructions. Aisha nodded. You'd better think it over yourself, because in front of me, no small move of yours can escape my eyes. Talos is still very honest, and he also knows very well that with the strength of Elsa and Anna, if he wants to save his life, it is better to be more honest. He took out a CD from his coat pocket and threw it accurately at Elsa's feet. This is the recording of the plane accident that day. Our people copied it from the black box of the crashed plane. Why wait? Aisha said in surprise. Didn't those who investigated the plane accident say that all the black boxes have been destroyed? That's it. I forgot to explain it just now. Please allow me to explain. As Talos spoke, his ugly green appearance was constantly changing. In just a few seconds, he turned into exactly the same as Elsa. This is a small ability of us Skrulls, which can turn into the things we have seen. With this ability, I can go wherever I want to go. For example, the Strategic Homeland Defense Attack and Logistics Support Bureau, and the scene of the plane crash that day. Aisha, I understand. Please change back quickly. If I see you dare to look like me again in the future, that person will be prepared to be an ice sculpture for the rest of his life. Elsa's words frightened Talos into revealing his true form instantly. Anna picked up the CD, walked to a computer, and put it into the CD-ROM drive. Soon, the contents of the disc were played, which was a recording of the conversation between Carol and Dr. Lawson on the plane. The content of the recording can prove that Carol and Dr. Lawson were attacked by Kree Empire fighter planes, and the purpose of Dr. Lawson's research on the light speed engine was indeed to end a war. All of this is basically consistent with what Talos told before, but it is not enough for Anna to completely believe Talos. Because of the contents of this CD, Talos and the others have already heard it. It is not difficult to make up a story without loopholes based on the content inside. To make the direction of the whole thing clearer, Carol's lost memory in the accident is the key to everything. Anna, the evidence you presented does not completely prove that what you are telling is the truth. If everything you said is true, then help us restore Carol's memory first. Use the probe you just made her memory device should be able to do that, right? Regarding the condition proposed by Anna, Talos could only nod and agree. After some adjustments to the equipment, Carol was placed on the equipment again in the form of hanging upside down. After a while, the two memory reading heads will release neural electric current that simulates human brain waves. I will reverse the direction of the electric current to stimulate her brain and help her recover past memories. Talos explained the working principle of the equipment to Elsa and Anna, and when they saw no reaction, he officially turned on the 157B equipment. As the device was turned on, a very painful expression could clearly be seen on Carol's face. It seemed that with the recovery of her memory, she also began to mumble uncontrollably, and from time to time she would spit out the names of Elsa, Maria, and Anna. As Carol's speaking speed continued to increase, her double star state was activated again. The powerful energy destroyed the Skrulls' machines and equipment, but fortunately, Elsa released the ice wall in time to protect everyone, and other people in the room were not affected by the burst of energy. When Elsa lifted the ice wall, all areas outside her protection range had collapsed. One can imagine what the state of the hospital on the ground would be like at the moment. Carol, on the other hand, was exuding this golden light. Her eyes closed tightly, and she was floating quietly in the air. Elsa and others did not step forward to disturb Carol, but continued to wait where they were. A few minutes later, Carol finally opened her eyes and looked at everyone. And this time Elsa and Anna knew through her eyes that the Carol Danvers they knew was finally back. Asking for flowers, asking for collection, asking for monthly tickets. If you like it, please leave a comment and share it. Chapter 71, Part 1. Morag. If someone has been paying attention to the changes in this planet, they will be surprised by what it looks like now. Because the entire planet, at the moment, has been completely covered with a layer of silver. The once dry and desolate land has now been replaced by thick ice and snow. For those who didn't know, they thought this was Niflheim, the underworld of ice and snow. But there is indeed nothing left on this planet except coldness and death. And all these changes are naturally related to Loki, who came here to try to activate the immortal mode. Loki tried to activate the immortal mode again this time, and it was extremely smooth compared to the first time. Although it took a lot of mental energy to infuse one's will into the pure magic output of the Millennium building blocks. But whether it is completing the construction of the energy matrix in each cell, or absorbing the original energy from the dimensional space and converting it into Loki's own magic power, there will be no mistakes or accidents in the entire process. So this time, Loki succeeded. The skill he started to create more than 1,000 years ago, the Sage mode that can obtain endless magic power from the dimensional space, finally turned into the power of Loki at this moment. With the successful opening of the Immortal mode, Loki's strength has also crossed from the early stage of level Godfather to the middle stage, and suddenly reached the level of the late level Godfather. Based on Loki's current strength, there are only a handful of existences that can pose a threat to him in the entire Marvel universe. And with the success of the Immortal mode, Loki's vitality has also increased beyond imagination. Loki can clearly sense that his current lifespan has far exceeded the limit of 5,000 years as a giant of Jotunheim. This state is very similar to those gods who rule a dimension. It can be said that as long as Loki can always obtain energy from the dimensional space, his life can always be maintained in a young state. Not only that, because Loki's immortal mode builds an energy matrix in each cell. This means that even if Loki's body is destroyed to the point where only one cell is left, as long as his soul is still intact, it can be restored to its original state through the elemental ability. With such recovery ability, I'm afraid Wolverine will call him Big Brother when she sees him. Even Loki, who has lived for more than 1,000 years, can't suppress the excitement in his heart due to the changes brought about by the successful activation of Sage mode. So the innocent Morag became the target for him to release his emotions. This is why Morag has now become an ice planet. Based on Loki's impact on the environment here, I am afraid that there will be no possibility of this planet warming up in the next hundreds of thousands of years. At this point, Loki's goal of coming to Morag this time has been completely achieved. Before returning to Jotunheim, Loki planned to get rid of Ego's body that was frozen by him thousands of years ago. Flying Thor was activated, and Loki instantly disappeared from the ice fields of Morag, and then appeared on a planet also covered in ice and snow an unknown number of light years away. This is the planetary protective shell that Ego built for himself by using his ability to manipulate molecules in order to protect his own body. Loki, who was not strong enough to kill Ego at the time, spent several days completely freezing the entire planet in order to prevent Ego's god's body from being born here and sealed Ego in his lord. But now that he is here again, Loki can no longer sense the presence of the god Ego. Excluding the almost zero answer that the opponent has been frozen to death by his own ice, then the only thing that can explain this phenomenon is that Egg's body has escaped from his seal. It can be inferred from the complete ice seal on the planet's outer shell that Ego was not rescued by anyone else. Loki guessed that the other party must have completely abandoned the two bodies that took many years of hard work to create, and then slowly escaped from the ice through its own ability constantly infiltrating. Loki was very surprised that Egg would make such a decision to get out of trouble, because this means that Egg needs to expose his body to the universe without protection. This is definitely a desperate decision for Egg, who cherishes his life very much and built a planet as his protective shell in order to save his life. It seems that Ego is also very worried that during the time when he was sealed, Loki will be completely wiped out after he returns and becomes more powerful. However, it probably hasn't been long since Egg escaped from the seal, and Loki can still sense the residual traces of energy left by him in the surroundings. It's a pity that Loki came a step too late. If it had been earlier, he might not be able to track the direction in which Egg escaped. But now, it will be more difficult to find the other party. With the lesson learned from the previous time, it is estimated that Egg will be honest for a while. As for whether the other party will cause trouble for Asgard as a means of revenge against Loki, to be honest, if Egg really made such a mindless decision, then Loki would still welcome him. At least he didn't have to look for him, he would just come to his door. Now the entire Asgard is affected by the complete hypnotic ability and has fallen under Loki's control. Once any trouble occurs, Loki can immediately return to Asgard by flying Thor or the portal. According to his current strength, as long as Ego dares to come to his door, the only possible outcome for him is to return to the embrace of the goddess of death. Since you ran away, I'll let you go for the time being. But you must hide it, Egg. If I find you, your fate will definitely be more tragic than being blown up by your filial son. After saying that, Loki handed over a super large jade Rasengan shuriken, turning the entire planet into dust, and then disappeared into the universe. Asking for flowers, asking for collection, asking for monthly tickets. If you like it, please leave a comment and share it. Chapter 72, Part 1. So, why did you come here? In the mirror space, with the help of Elsa and Anna, A Quinjet that was still under development was brought here without anyone noticing. Along with them, in addition to Carol and the Skrulls, there was also the rustic and naive Black Agent. It is the responsibility of our Strategic Homeland Defense Attack and Logistics Bureau to deal with such abnormal events, and I am very useful. At least I can help you take care of this little kitten. Nick Fury shamelessly picked up Goo Goo and showed an ugly smile. Anna rolled her eyes, but still patted the other party's shoulder, quietly leaving a magical mark of Thor. Then you have to follow us closely, otherwise we may not be able to protect you. After confirming that the whole story was exactly what Talos said, Elsa, Anna, and Carol all agreed to help the Skrulls find Dr. Lawson's laboratory hidden in space. Definitely more importantly, the missing Tesseract was in Dr. Lawson's laboratory. Only by getting it can Elsa be confident that she can deal with the next space fleet sent by the Kree Empire and ensure the safety of the Earth. So, under the leadership of Elsa, they stole the Quinjet experimental machine that had not yet been successfully developed and gave it to the chief scientist of the Skrulls to modify it in the mirror space to meet the conditions of the outer space environment. I don't have any objections to bringing this waste. But should we first decipher the coordinates of Dr. Marvel's laboratory? My tribe and I have been studying for several days, but we haven't found anything at the coordinates in the recording. Talos set his sights on Carol, the key figure who saw Dr. Lawson for the last time. As for Nick Fury, whom Talos called trash, he was squatting in the corner with a livid face, drawing circles and cursing him. Regarding Talos' question, and Carol responded to him with a look of care for the mentally retarded. In the end, Carol answered his question. The numbers Dr. Lawson told me are not the coordinates of the laboratory, but the vector state of the laboratory, which are used to locate the orbit and speed of the laboratory. So as long as we use some of the physics knowledge ABBA taught in junior high schools on Earth, we can calculate the orbit and position of the laboratory outside the Earth. Anna continued Carol's words, with a full tone in her voice. Ridicule. Talos' face turned red after hearing this, and he was so embarrassed that he wanted to dig a hole and get in. It's impossible to hide the look in a person's eyes. He looked at the Skrull who was transforming Quinjet not far away and said with a ferocious expression, as if he had eaten 9 rounds of fat sausage. You can't understand such a simple question, and yet you have the nerve to say that you are the chief scientist of our Skrulls? But I didn't go to junior high school on Earth either. This was the rebuttal from the chief scientist. Although he did not go to junior high school on Earth, the chief scientist of the Skrulls still completed the task brilliantly. Riding on the Quinjet modified by him, everyone successfully found Dr. Lawson's laboratory hidden in the orbit of the Earth satellite, a spacecraft from Crete. The structure of the spacecraft was very simple. Dr. Lawson did not set up any protective devices here. Everyone quickly passed through the hatches and arrived at the laboratory built by Dr. Lawson. Here, the Tesseract was placed on an experimental bench without any protective equipment. Carol reached out and took it down easily. But this was thanks to Carol. After being irradiated by Tesseract energy, she dared to touch the Tesseract directly with her hands so unscrupulously. If it were anyone else, he might have been transported to any unknown corner of the universe, just like the original Red Skull. Elsa came to Carol, took a toy box from the table nearby, and asked Carol to put the Tesseract in it. At this moment, Anna also walked up and looked at the layout of the laboratory with a solemn face. Why are there children's things in Dr. Lawson's laboratory? As soon as she finished speaking, Anna saw a steaming cup across the table. And this can only prove one thing: there are other people here. Just when Anna was shocked to realize this fact, Talos and the other Skrulls who had been following them began to make a cry similar to the shouting on the prairie. Sound is constantly reflected and superimposed by the wall, forming an amazing sound field effect. Soon, a similar voice began to be heard from a distance, intersecting with Talos and his others' voices. After receiving the response, Talos and others all showed excited expressions on their faces, and Anna and the others finally knew why there were children's toys in Dr. Lawson's laboratory. At the entrance of the laboratory, a female Skrull with a big belly appeared in everyone's sight with a group of Skrulls behind her. Most of these Skrulls are women, some are obviously old at first glance, and the rest are all children whose height is less than the waist of an adult. It seems that the real purpose of Talos finding here is not the Tesseract, but his family and tribesmen who have taken refuge in this laboratory. Seeing the leading pregnant woman and Talos embracing each other affectionately, Anna revealed the truth of the matter. But at this warm moment, a violent explosion suddenly occurred outside the spacecraft, followed by a series of countless footsteps. It's people from the Kree Empire who are here. Talos made a judgment in an instant. The Skrulls who heard this sentence all showed panic expressions on their faces. But at this moment, Elsa, Anna, and Carol stood up together. Don't be afraid, everyone. We 3 sisters are here today. No matter how many people the Kree Empire sends, don't even think of harming a single hair of yours under our noses. As she spoke, Elsa's hands were already dissatisfied with the frost, and the Air Force training uniform on her body was changed by magic into an ice blue dress. Anna also used the dress-up magic to put on a suit of heroic armor and had 2 more long swords in her hands. Although Carol doesn't know magic, her transformation is indeed the most eye-catching, because her whole body is sparkling at this moment. As the being with the weakest fighting ability in this room, Nick Fury, who watched the 3 of them complete their transformation, hugged Gugu and very consciously crouched in the corner and hid. Asking for flowers, asking for collection, asking for monthly tickets. If you like it, please leave a comment and share it. Chapter 73, Part 1. Is that why the Kree Empire's warriors are so weak? In a corner of the laboratory, Nick Fury held Gugu in his arms and asked Talos beside him with a relaxed expression. While Nick Fury was speaking, the Kree who broke into Dr. Lawson's laboratory had all been defeated by Aisha and the others. Some were frozen into ice sculptures by the magic of ice and snow, some were cut in half by a sword, and some bodies were filled with holes penetrated by energy. Looking at such a bloody and one-sided situation in front of him, it is no wonder that Nick Fury would ask such a question. You ask as if we Skrulls are useless. You have to know that it's not that the people of the Kree Empire are too weak, but that the 3 of them are too strong. Talos responded to Nick Fury's question speechlessly, but the eyes he looked at Aisha and the 3 of them were full of shock. After taking down a group of Kree Empire soldiers, Aisha and the other 3 did not relax their vigilance. They knew very well that the group of people just now were just the vanguard sent by the Kree Empire to investigate the situation, and the other party did not pay any attention to it at all from the Earth and the Skrulls. Now that they have completely eliminated this team, what they will face next is the truly difficult challenge. Carol, let me put on this battlesuit. If we have to fight the Kree Empire's space fleet later, the clothes you are wearing now will not last until the end of the battle. Anna summoned a battlesuit that was once the standard equipment of the Asgard Valkyrie from the King's treasure and handed it to Carol. Carol took the battlesuit without any courtesy, took it to find a suitable room and changed into it. They must be fully prepared for the battle that will happen next. At this moment, a Skrull who had been observing the external situation through the porthole shouted in panic. They are coming! The Accuser Legion fleet of the Kree Empire is coming. The Legion of Accusers is an organization that controls the military power of the Kree Empire and upholds the law, and the Accuser is the commander. After completing space jumps through wormholes, more and more Kree Empire warships appeared outside the Earth. The fleet sent by the Kree Empire to Earth this time is more than enough to completely destroy the entire Earth, not to mention the annihilation of the Skrulls. In the face of such a powerful force, the only forces on the Earth to fight against it are 3 girls: Elsa, Anna, and Carol. Normal people can use their toes to know how ridiculous this thing is, but it actually happened. As soon as the 3 of them received the alarm, they came out of the spaceship through the portal. Elsa, Carol, we must fight quickly. Once the enemy seizes the loophole, they will definitely launch an attack on the Earth. With the help of Elsa's speaking magic, Anna reminded the 2 people beside her. In response, Aisha and Carol both nodded and tried their best. Elsa took out the Tesseract from the toy box and invoked its power. In an instant, the Kree battleship that appeared in front of them was covered with a thick layer of ice crystals. Probably because Elsa's action was so fast, new warships continued to appear in the universe beyond the Earth through space jumps. Before they had time to receive the news of the destruction of the first batch of battleships, they were attacked by Carol in the double star state. So the second batch of arriving battleships, together with the first batch of battleships frozen by Elsa, all turned into a pile of space junk floating in the universe under Carol's impact. Anna was definitely not to be outdone, and summoned her favorite spiral sword from the King's treasure, waiting for the arrival of the third batch of battleships. But I don't know whether Anna is lucky or bad. When it was her turn to take action, the Kree fleet seemed to have known that the Earth they despised was actually not easy to mess with, so they decisively stopped sending troops. Reinforcement orders. Is that why the Kree Empire's battleships are so weak? In the laboratory, Nick Fury, who was standing by the porthole and saw everyone passing by, held Gugu in his arms and asked Talos beside him again with a relaxed expression. And Talos had no choice but to repeat that sentence again. You have to know, it's not that the Kree Empire people are too weak, but the 3 of them are too strong. Although the trouble has been successfully resolved, Talos at this moment can't help but have a question in his mind. What kind of magical planet is the Earth that can give birth to these 3 such powerful women? If we had known that the Earth was such a crouching tiger, hidden dragon, there would be no need for Dr. Lawson to study the light speed engine. Why not just ask them for help directly? 0. Please give me flowers. He was definitely just thinking about it. If they had known from the beginning that there was such a powerful existence hidden on the Earth, they might not have chosen to land on the Earth from the beginning. After all, as outsiders, if they are accidentally misunderstood and have any bad intentions, there is a high probability that the powerful people hidden on the Earth will have already dealt with them without waiting for the Kree Empire to find them. Just like when they first met Elsa and Anna, Elsa froze them without saying a word. Not my family, its heart must be different. Even Talos has to admit that in order to ensure his own safety, Implementing the laws of the Dark Forest is the best choice for the long-term continuation of a civilization. Just when Talos was thinking wildly, Elsa and the other two passed through the portal again and returned to the laboratory. It's okay. The Kree Empire was taught a lesson by the three of us this time and suffered such heavy losses. I think they should not dare to make trouble on Earth again in the future, Carol announced, looking at a kind of scroll. That's right. And the disappeared Tesseract has also been recovered. Next, we just need to use the data left by Dr. Lawson in the laboratory to redevelop the Lightspeed engine. I believe you will be able to start a new life soon. Elsa shook the Tesseract in her hand and continued Carol's words. However, at this moment, it seemed that Elsa's movements attracted Gugu's attention. Gugu and Nick Fury's arms suddenly opened his mouth wide, spit out several tentacles, grabbed the Tesseract, and then swallowed it in his own belly. After seeing this scene, Nick Fury felt that his outlook on life was about to collapse. He was so frightened that he quickly let go of his hand and threw the kitten out of his arms. The frightened Gugu kicked off his hind legs, leaving 3 scratches on Fury's left eye. However, he still relied on his flexible skills to toss and turn in the air and landed firmly on the ground. Seeing Fury howling in pain, Talos couldn't help but gloated. I told you a long time ago, that's an element-devouring beast, not a little kitten. Asking for flowers, asking for favorites, asking for monthly votes. If you like it, please comment and share one after another. Chapter 74, Part 1. As the invading Kree Empire fleet was instantly killed by Elsa, Anna, and Carol, the crisis that started with the death of Dr. Lawson also came to an end temporarily. After everyone returned to Earth, the three Elsa told Maria Rambeau the truth. So, aliens do exist? Although she really wanted to believe her 3 sisters, this sudden fact still made Maria feel a little hard to accept. Then she saw one of the men following Carol, who came back with them, instantly turned into an ugly humanoid creature with green skin. Maria tried hard to keep her eyes widened in surprise from falling out of her sockets, then stiffly turned her head to look at Elsa and Anna and asked cautiously, Elsa, you just said that you and Anna are actually aliens who have lived on the Earth since childhood. 287. Can you also complete this transformation? Seeing Maria's appearance, Elsa and Anna looked at each other and couldn't help laughing. Ha 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 ha. Maria, Anna and I are not of the same race as them. What we look like now is what we are. Hearing this, Maria breathed a sigh of relief and then asked, what are your plans next? If your identity and ability are known to the government, they will definitely not let you go easily. While talking, Maria secretly winked at Aisha and the others and kept looking at the agent from the Strategic Homeland Defense Attack and Logistics Support Bureau aside. But being an agent, how could Nick Fury not see these little moves of Maria Rambeau? In fact, Nick Fury also felt very confused about how to report this incident to his superiors. The shock and impact this experience brought to him completely destroyed the worldview he had established in the previous decades of life. Fury even doubted that if he reported this matter without any evidence, his superiors would treat him as a lunatic and lock him up directly. But even if his superiors believed his mission report, Fury felt uncomfortable. Just like Maria Rambeau said, once this matter is exposed, the originally peaceful lives of Elsa, Anna, and Carol will be completely broken. The 3 of them are the heroes who just saved Nick Fury and the entire Earth. If I report their identities and abilities to my superiors, wouldn't this be a proper act of repaying kindness with enmity? On one side is loyalty as an agent of the Strategic Homeland Defense Attack and Logistics Bureau, and on the other side is loyalty to heroes and saviors. Nick Fury feels that he is now caught in a dilemma where he cannot have his cake and eat it too. Compared to Nick Fury's entanglement, Carol seems very free and easy. Through this incident, I have found what I really want to do. There must be many races like the Skrulls in the universe who are facing the threat of the Kree Empire. The greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. I hope to use my power to help them escape from the clutches of the Kree Empire. I will help Talos and the others to find their tribesmen who are lost in the universe, and then find a home where they can start their lives again. Hearing Carol tell her plan, Elsa and Maria's eyes showed reluctance at the same time. But Anna raised her hand very excitedly and said, Carol, I also want to be with you. Can you? I think your idea is very meaningful, and I also want to take this opportunity to see our vast world. More scenery in the universe. Elsa was a little surprised by Anna's idea, but she had no intention of stopping her. Elsa and Anna looked at Carol at the same time, waiting for Carol to give her answer. It's definitely no problem. Having you by my side is what I want. The destinations of Carol and Anna have been decided. Among them, only Elsa has not yet made her choice. Everyone turned their attention to Aisha, wanting to know what choice she would make. I think Fury should be allowed to bring the truth of this matter back to the Homeland Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Agency. Aisha immediately shocked everyone as soon as she spoke. No one present expected that she would make such a speech. Seeing everyone's surprised looks at her, Elsa also explained. Although this crisis was solved by me, Anna, and Carol, We can't always be there when danger occurs. Show up promptly. So I think the Earth needs to know the dangers they may face, because the Earth will always have to rely on its own efforts to face these threats from outside the Earth. After Aisha's explanation, everyone finally understood her true thoughts, and they all agreed with Aisha's idea. But Maria looked at Elsa and hesitated. Although Maria didn't say it out loud, as a good sister who had lived with her for such a long time, Elsa could see through her thoughts at a glance. At the same time, Aisha also knew very well what the choice she made meant. Once Fury brings the information back to the Homeland Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Agency, there will be no going back to those days. It doesn't matter. Aisha comforted Maria. When I made this decision, I had already thought clearly about the risks I might face, and I was willing to accept them all. And although I agree with Fury to take the news back, there are preconditions. That is, Fury can only report the news to the person I designate. When Anna heard Elsa say this, she immediately knew what she meant. Elsa, you were talking about Uncle Howard. Aisha nodded. Yes. With Uncle Howard's ability, he can definitely help the Earth better face such dangers in the future. And I believe that Uncle Howard will not do anything detrimental to us. At this time, Nick Fury was surprised to find out, it turns out you guys know my immediate boss. Elsa and Anna were also very surprised when they heard Fury's words. They did not expect that the person who sent him to the Air Force Base for investigation was actually Howard Stark. But if you think about it carefully, it makes sense. After all, he has watched Elsa and Anna grow up, and Howard will definitely pay more attention to things related to them. However, at this moment, there was a sudden burst of huge amounts of movement outside the house. Everyone came to the window and looked outside, and could see a rainbow coming from the sky and falling outside the room like a waterfall. Elsa and Anna recognized what it was at a glance, and said in unison, Bifrost? While the two of them were still surprised, they didn't know why Bifrost was turned on. The next second, Bifrost disappeared, and a familiar figure appeared in their sight. Asking for flowers, asking for collection, asking for monthly tickets. If you like it, please leave a comment and share it. Chapter 75, Part 1. Skalsini? Why are you here? What's wrong with you? Along with the Bifrost came to Earth an ordinary Asgard warrior, known as the Executioner, Skalsini. The reason why Elsa and Anna know him is because after Sif married Loki, Skalsini, who is a hybrid between giants of Jotunheim and Asgard people, and can withstand the severe cold, was sent to Jotunheim by Heimdall to serve as Sif's guard for a period of time. It was not until Loki decided to move his family to Midgard that Skalsini returned to Asgard and continued his previous work. Before today, Elsa and Anna had not seen him for more than 10 years, but Skalsini unexpectedly appeared in front of them. And judging from the anxious look on his face and the countless scars on his body, things are definitely not simple. Skalsini, who was too injured to support his body and continue to stand, knelt on one knee and supported himself with his right hand. Seeing Elsa and Anna coming in front of him, he immediately braced himself up and said to them seriously, By the order of His Highness Sif, I ask the two princesses to take refuge in Kamardaj as soon as possible. When the strength reaches level God Father before that, never go back to Jotunheim and Asgard. With that said, Skalsini took out a letter from his arms and handed it to Aisha. After he completed all this, dense cracks began to appear constantly on his body, and finally turned into a ball of magic dust and disappeared between heaven and earth. Elsa and Anna were completely dumbfounded when they saw this scene. A living life disappeared in front of them, and the other person was a powerful Asgard warrior. But until now, the two of them still have no idea what happened in distant Asgard and Jotunheim. Elsa quickly opened the letter that Skalsini gave her before she died, and Anna put her head next to Elsa and read it together. The letter was written by Sif in rune script, and both of them recognized their mother's handwriting. But the content of the letter made the two people's faces become increasingly ugly, from shock to pain. Sif told the two sisters in the letter that Lauf, the previous king of Jotunheim, who voluntarily gave up the throne to Loki thousands of years ago, took advantage of the god king Odin to fall into Odin's sleep, invaded Asgard through the space intersection, and robbed Odin of the treasure house. Casket of Ancient Winters. In the face of the powerful power of Casket of Ancient Winters, Thor was unable to resist. The entire Asgard was completely trapped by the power of ice and fell into huge amounts of chaos. Lauf, who quietly returned to Jotunheim with the Casket of Ancient Winters, launched a sneak attack and killed Loki when Loki was unprepared, and quickly passed the coup, regained the throne of Jotunheim, and took control of the entire country's army. Under the protection of several loyal guards, Sif fled back to Asgard with Loki's body, only to find that Asgard was also in a bitter battle. In order to regroup, Sif put on his battle armor again, led the remaining Asgard warriors to start a counterattack against Lauf, and handed the letter written by himself to Skalsini, asking him to break through the siege and bring it to Elsa and Anna in Midgard, reminding the two not to return to Jotunheim and Asgard. Dad, he is dead? The two sisters were struck by lightning when they saw the news and couldn't believe it was true. How could the extremely powerful king of Jotunheim and the #1 magician in the 9 realms be killed by a surprise attack in their eyes? Impossible. This can't be true. This is definitely Dad's evil intention to play a prank on us. Unable to accept the fact, Anna began to look for various reasons to explain all the sudden events. But what made Anna collapse was that she found that she could not summon the treasure of the king's treasure through the magic of dressing up. Elsa, who also couldn't accept this fact, even wanted to open the portal and return to Jotunheim to confirm whether all this was true or false, but she was stopped by Carlo, who had quick eyes and hands beside her. With the company and comfort of Carol and Maria, Elsa and Anna finally calmed down. Elsa, what should we do now? I don't believe Dad was really killed by Lauf. Anna, who has always been the one with the most ideas among the two sisters, fell into confusion under such circumstances and instinctively turned to her sister for help. At this time, Aisha also showed her responsibility as a sister. Whether all this is true or false, we must ensure our own safety now and don't let my mother worry about us. But in case the worst happens, it really happened, then we are the last hope to avenge my parents. So now, we who are not strong enough can only follow what my mother said in the letter and take refuge in Kamar. Taj 8:23. We cannot return to Jotunheim and Asgard rashly before reaching level Godfather. Anna heard this and silently nodded in agreement with Elsa's decision. Anna came to Carol and said to her, "Sorry, Carol, I can't accompany you to explore the universe, but I once left a magic mark on your shoulder. If you encounter any trouble, as long as you activate it with energy, I will definitely rush to help you as soon as possible." Carol didn't say much. She just gently held Anna in her arms, hoping to add a little warmth and strength to the little sister's heart. "Anna, you go to Kamartaj alone and wait for me. Fury and I will explain Dr. Lawson's affairs to Uncle Howard together, and then we will go over to find you." After everything was arranged, everyone also ushered in the moment of separation. But no one in the room noticed that there was a pair of eyes beside them that had been observing their every move. And this guy is none other than the king of Jotunheim, Loki, who was declared dead by Skalsini just now. Asking for flowers, asking for collection, asking for monthly tickets. If you like it, please comment and share to order one.